Got nothing to say. Thoughts are gonna play. I don't wanna be another memory. No, I know that it's hard for us both. I know that we want to be told. I'm calling out your name. Will anything change? I'm calling out your name. Will anyone hear me? I'm calling out your name. Anyone hear me? I'm calling out your name. Will anything change? I'm calling out your name. Will anyone hear me? I'm calling out your name. Will anything change? I'm calling out your name. Will anyone hear me? I'm calling out your name.
All right, I think we're in. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Nightfall Champions League. I am your host, Zonite, and joining me today is none other than Jake.
Thank you very much. I am excited about these games. I've been getting a little bit of information from different people saying, what predictions they think are going to win. There's a couple of you guys in the Twitch chat that are tossing out what you think is going to be the results from tonight. People saying that Recon 5 is the one that's been leading so far. They're number one coming in at the moment, but will they make it to the finals? That's the big question that I'm excited to find out tonight.
Yeah, this is a best-of-3 situation. Last night, you got to see Fruition take on LSG. And sadly for Fruition, LSG took them down in a 2-0 victory and now going off to the finals. And I'm excited, like you said, to see who's going to go off to the finals with LSG. And it does seem like we're already getting into the pick and ban phase, so let's move ourselves on over.
Absolutely. So checking out these bands so far on the side of IG, Impulse Ghosting. They're going to take away that Morgana and Thresh, focusing on that bottom side. Also that Jarvan in the jungle. When you're picking away people that can do engaging, that's something we've seen a lot in the recent meta, is the team that makes those engagements usually the one that can find an advantage. So take away those pick potential champions like the Morgana, Thresh, and Jarvan. As for the side of Recon 5, Aurelia, Kai'Sa, Nautilus, little mixture, but again, heavy focus on this bottom lane.
Yeah, for sure. And now Braum being picked up, more of a comfort pick. He is strong, so he has many matchups that he can go into that are very comfortable for many players. And there's a lot of ADCs that he can go well with. So with having the Nautilus taken away, the Thresh taken away as well, you have an opportunity to play a Braum maybe with a Varus, Tristana, Jinx. You have all these different combos. It's just all around a good support. Now IG is looking for the possible flex pick with the Aatrox and also the Lissandra pick in the mid lane. And Lissandra, always in the mid lane, somehow does well.
Well, one of the things I love about this so far from Impulse Ghosting is you're taking champions that basically say, you know what, let's get an extra life here. You get a little one-up in Mario. You've got yourself a Lissandra. She gets low. She throws that ultimate on herself, heals up a bunch. Aatrox, if he gets a kill or assist, can regen, come right back up to continue that fighting. And so it can delay and drag out some of those fights. What I want to see as they continue to pick and ban through the rest of these phases is some strong laners as well as ADC that can actually do the damage, while those front lines of that Aatrox, of the Galio, do the tanking. They've got the regen with those extra life bars coming in as well. So there's some really good potential fighting coming out of Impulse Ghosting. But to me, even though Lissandra is strong, she's not going to be that one big damage dealer that they really need to take over those 5v5 team fights.
Yeah, I completely agree. They definitely need something that will be their main source of damage. They have a lot of sustain to themselves, and we've seen many times before, Galio does very well into a Braum pick, so that can help them down in the bot lane. So if you give your AD carry an opportunity to have some source of carry potential, then that can actually excel your team further into the game. R5, I really like the combo. Braum Sejuani, it's one of my favorites. It's always a classic. And because of the Sejuani passive, it does help give an advantage. So I wouldn't be surprised if R5 try to focus down on that bot lane a little bit. And maybe here, because you can flex the Akali mid or top, have R5 choose someone who's a melee rather than a range in either side.
All right, with that Lucian locked in by Recon 5, this is so fascinating, right? If you look on Impulse Ghosting, they have banned away another two ADCs this game, taking away the Caitlyn and the Sivir, and they're kind of pushing Recon 5 into picking an ADC, so now they get to respond, and that means to me that OG Swifty on the side of Impulse Gaming, the AD carry, feels super confident on pretty much any ADC. He's banning away champions, daring the side of Recon 5 to pick it first. They grab that Lucian, and so they're going to respond with the Ashe and Elise as their last pick for the jungle. Well, we wanted extra damage. The super burst in the early game Elise, really strong AP, gonna come out. I'm excited to see those ganks. And you think about this skirmishing and team fight with the Cocoon from the Elise, the Enchanted Crystal Air from the Ashe, and the taunts from Galio. Those are some pretty nice combinations.
Yeah, now R5 have so much opportunity to pick, but it looks like they're going to go with the Zoe in the mid lane, and that's going to be on Akali in the top lane, unless, hey, maybe the Zoe likes to go top. All right, no, just kidding on that one. But Zoe can go mid lane, Akali is going to go top lane, and Akali, I personally think, has a favored matchup in the early game against that Aatrox. It'll make it very difficult for Aatrox to try to walk up a little bit and go for some CS, and because of that added pressure early on from the Akali, means that R5 can look more towards the mid and bot lane with that Sejuani. So by having that laner who's more aggressive, it gives the advantage to R5 in the early stages of the game. But with IG picking Elise, that helps out with the counter ganks, with the counter picks for the jungle matchup, and Elise can definitely be a game changer when it comes to the early stages.
And what I love about the Elise is when you're looking at Recon 5, check out especially those first four champions, but you could tack on Zoe on the end there. The mobility is what I'm seeing. Relentless Pursuit from Lucian, the Boar Rush from the Sejuani, Stand Behind Me from Braum to an ally, and Akali being just an incredibly mobile champion. Elise has her jump that she can do, both in spiderling form, which she can hop over to somebody. I'm losing the name at the moment. That's why I'm kind of biding my time until I can remember it. But she also, in spider form, can actually lunge onto people as well. So the collapse is really there. And Elise, with high mobility, can join into a team fight and participate in that. And when you're looking, you're saying from the side of Recon 5 that Sejuani can focus on these other lanes. I'm seeing a very heavy push in that bottom side from the Sejuani because their ability to gank can be so crucial with the ultimate, especially post 6, because you throw it out there, even if it doesn't hit your desired target, there's 2 people, twice as much chance that you'll find either a stun or a slow, and that can lead into the rest of your team's CC and the early game damage that Lucian can bring because he is such an excellent duelist.
Yeah, and now one thing I'm noticing and on the client for the League of Legends game that we have right now is that the jungler for Recon 5 is not going to be Moody. Moody, sadly, is not able to join us for this match. So who else to pick up his spot in the jungle than one of their coaches? Gnarlynar is actually, I believe, one of the Recon 5 coaches. So by him going to the game, they may have a little bit advantage to communicate better because you have a coach who knows what he's doing and he's able to communicate to his team, especially as a jungler. So with Recon 5 having that little bit of an advantage, they could possibly pull off this early game. And you know, from the past couple of weeks that we've seen, Recon 5 play very aggressive early on. They like to play a lot of damage carries. They play Lucian all the time. Tonzo always plays a carry champion up in the top lane. I don't believe I've ever seen him on a tank. And, you know, those champions, when they can get ahead and get an opportunity, they become very dangerous.
Absolutely. You know, we were talking about that coach being in the game. Well, what's better than coaching from the sidelines if you can actually participate in the game itself and do your coaching from the actual grounds that you're playing on? So with all these champions, let's look a little bit at their compositions as a whole. We were seeing from Impulse Ghosting at the beginning of the game, they're running a little bit more of that 5v5 team composition with the AoE from the Galio, Lissandra, and Aatrox. However, when you tack on an Ashe in there, she can bring a little bit of AoE, but it's far more looking for the pick. You're looking with that Enchanted Crystal Arrow to find somebody who's a little bit mispositioned, be able to grab that stun. Then you also have that single target cocoon out of Elise. It's a fairly easy spell to land if you're close to somebody, and so you're looking a bit more at a skirmishing composition from Impulse Ghosting, which means you need to have good wardage and you need to have your laners with the confidence to roam. Lissandra needs to be able to free up in that mid lane so she can join when the side lane fights begin, whether it's the Elise ganking on the bottom or top side. Galio needs to have that confidence that his Ashe is going to be okay for him to take that ultimate to another lane whenever it's available. So you could maybe also see a 1-4 composition coming out of Impulse Ghosting with Aatrox trying to split push in the side lane, but that completely has to do with how well he does in the laning phase specifically.
Yeah, there's many different ways that either team could play this early game, and you know, because they grab the Elise for themselves, they have the Lissandra in the mid lane. Like you said, it gives opportunity for picks. Ashe as well, as soon as she hits 6, it gives an opportunity if they can find the arrow onto someone. Now, with the way this early game looks to me, Bluxy should know. Rexless is probably going to get pushed in, Tonzo's going to be very aggressive. So if Bluxy can either take advantage top lane and get Rexless like a kill or 2 up in the top lane, get himself strong enough to where he can sustain by himself, and then Bluxy can focus on the mid lane. And if he is able to focus on the mid lane, he can open up the map for his for Lissandra and allow her to move down to the bot side of the map or even the top side, giving them complete map control. And like you said, what R5 needs to do is really keep up on that vision control, because if they start falling behind in the early game, these champions who can pick off the enemy one by one, it's going to be so difficult for them to walk through the jungle at all without having, like, with all the worry going through their head.
Right, and from R5, you really look at their composition and you say they've got super strong frontliners. That's Sejuani and Braum. Excellent meat shields to protect the rest of the team. You got the Lucian and Zoe, both that have some pretty good ability to deal burst damage, but also Lucian can bring a bit of sustain through the course of a fight. Zoe can get some burst down, however it's on a short cooldown, so your burst is going to be coming out regularly, and then you have Akali looking for an opportunity to jump into that backside. So you're really, from the side of Recon 5, you want to be able to have enough time to actually set up your defensive lines. A lot of people, when they're talking about League of Legends, you're talking about what are your positions? Do you have your tanks actually there at the front of the line? Do you have your carries behind protected? Do you have a Kali wrapping around the side? She's taking that teleport, which is excellent to see, so that she can jump towards to be able to try to get to the squishier backline of the immobile Ashe and the very low mobility Elise if she's burned those cooldowns. So this is some good opportunities from Recon 5, but they need to make sure that they don't just rush straight into a fight. They need to kind of, hesitantly walk into that fight, say, you know what, let's take our time, make sure that our players are in the right positions before we go in to try to get some of these kills.
Yeah, for sure. And now, on the spectators delay on our side, we have about 15 seconds before this game is going to start. Thank you for the follow. We much appreciated. We love you. And now, I want to say we're going to go into game number 1 between Recon 5 and Impulse Ghosting. There is a poll in the Twitch. I believe it's at the bottom or even on the side of the Twitch chat. But you will be able to see. You'll be able to put your poll on who you think is going to win in this matchup. And now game number 1 is setting in.
At the moment, R5 is winning by 18 votes to the 9 votes of IG. So obviously, it's kind of a crowd favorite at the moment. If you want to, you can drop that hashtag as well in the chat, hashtag IG or hashtag R5. Pretty exciting stuff. Again, though, as we're looking at the compositions, one of the interesting things about Braum is that, especially in games that I've started to watch recently, when he first came out, he was considered a very defensive champion, right? He's got that stand behind me. He's kind of sitting back, playing more protective for those carries that are a bit squishier. However, some recent games that I've watched, he's actually been looking a bit more aggressive, happy to flash forward and try to land some glacial fissures, knock up the enemy team, and start that engagement. So interested in seeing on the side of Scrim if he's going to be playing the aggressive or defensive Braum.
Yeah, in the early stages, Paradox and Scrim can play very aggressive with the Lucian Braum, like you said, especially against an Ashe Galio. And Galio does fairly well when it comes to going against a Braum, but with the possibility, if they can get onto Swifty, it makes it very dangerous.
All right, well, we are loading into game. If you got any emotes, drop them in the chat. We want to see them, and let us know how excited you are to watch game number 1 of the semifinals for the Nightfall League. This is it. They've got 3 chances maximum to find their way into the finals, and after these games, one of these teams will be meeting SG, I believe it is, in the finals. And one of those teams will be the champion, as Elise is going to be throwing out one of those spiderlings, chasing down Gnarly Gnar, just getting a little bit of poke, but keeping vision on the enemy team jungler. Good stuff there from Impulse Ghosting at the beginning of the game. Yeah,
and LSG is the team that they will face, or which either team will face if they win this series. So, very close there. But to help you out, Lakeside Gaming, or LSG, there you go. But now, it does look like Recon 5 are trying to push up a little bit, get themselves some vision. And they do. They get some vision on the Raptors, will help them out on where Elise is going to be pathing. And with knowing where she's going to be pathing, it should allow for Gnarly Gnar to decide where he wants to go as well, and also give the advantage to the Recon 5 laners to either step back and play safe based on where they know she is, or even play aggressive if they know she's across the map.
Yeah, I'm liking this so far from the side of Recon 5. You've got the bottom lane who doesn't have to leash for the Sejuani. However, they're not immediately rushing into lane. They're getting close enough that you could maybe think that the Sejuani tried to roam around and grab her blue buff, because they're a little bit slow to lane, but not slow enough that you know for a fact that Sejuani is picking up that red buff. But they got there early enough, they also found themselves a slight edge, which is what you want on your Lucian, right? On Paradox, you want to be able to have the edge as a duelist that can get those earlier levels than the Ashe does, so you're always finding advantages when it comes to poking the enemy team down, as long as you can avoid getting double taunted by the Galio.
Yeah, and if you saw on the map there, Gnarly Gnar's pathing was really good. He realized there's a high chance that the ward was on the Raptor pit, same as theirs on the bot side, so he actually made his way back around the wall so that they would not be able to tell he started at the red buff. So now IG has no idea where Gnarly Gnar is, while on the other hand, I believe Bluxy went through and was spotted out, so R5 knows where he is, so they have the advantage here early on, and that allows for Paradox and Scrim with this aggressive duo down here. They can play forward and try to get Swifty to lose some CS and also take a fair amount of damage.
Yeah, so we'll see if they can pull this, kind of sneaking the Sejuani around the map. We'll see how long that lasts. As the changes with the scuttle crabs have come in, they're a little bit slower. You can see them starting to spawn shortly in about 30 seconds on the map. The Sejuani and Elise, respectively, on each side of the map, trying to get a little bit of positioning, jockey, to make sure they can grab those scuttle crabs as soon as they come up, as they are so critical. But that means that Elise is towards the top side of the map. She's level 3, has a cocoon available. She could look for a gank here. She will be seen by that ward, so Akali immediately pieces out.
Yeah, Tonzo realizes that Bluxy is there. He's going to have to step away to keep himself alive. And Tonzo just right now is keeping that pressure up, which is forcing Bluxy to the top side, which should allow Gnarly Gnar to take advantage of it and play around the bot side and even take Bluxy's CS, which will hurt him. But now in the mid lane, Bluxy's looking for something. Oh, maybe.
Yeah, the Elise actually came out with a slight lead there because she finished off the Scuttle Crab on the top side river, whereas Sejuani was clearing the Raptor camp, but they're actually going to trade now as Elise grabs Sejuani's Raptor camp. So we're just seeing a lot of trading up. Both teams quite comfortable to be focused on kind of the farm and poke at the moment. No one going crazy aggressive at this point.
Oh, Sejuani now over the pit.
Oh, looking potentially for Bluxy. Going to go in, immediately cocooned, though. We'll see if the chase continues as the camera switches down to the bottom side of the map. Looks like Elise will be able to escape, switching over to that Spiderling form.
Yeah, now on the top side, Tonzo putting some damage onto Rexless. Bluxy's making his way on over. He has been spotted out now. Tonzo's trying to get himself away.
We'll see if the Akali is able to make the escape. The cocoon, gonna miss out. Not sure where the positioning on that cocoon was, but Akali able to walk away from now. So again, they're kind of testing, and this is really understandable for a serious game in game 1, right? You kind of want to warm up a little bit. You want to get a feel for how the opponent is going to be playing. It's game 1. You don't want to be the one who makes that first mistake, the first blood of game 1 in a semifinal series. So everyone kind of playing a little bit respectfully, keeping their eyes on the opponent as a potential play in the bottom side. The Lucian going to jump forward with the Lens Pursuit. They've got a lot of damage down onto Swifty, but they're not going to find the Braum passive stacks just yet. Concussive blows are going to be missed. Ooh, the damage turned around onto Scrim. The Ignite taking away the Braum is very low. Heroic's going to be looking for the Winds of War to tick him down. One more tick would do it. Ash flashes in to get the auto attack and the taunt onto the Lucian. He's going to immediately cleanse and flash away. So it's not going to be 2 kills, but First Blood still goes over to Impulse Gaming.
That was a very nice turnaround by IG there. They're able to use Hero's CC and turn around, holding Scrim down for a moment, forcing the flash away, and then they followed up, Swifty picking up the first blood for himself, and Paradox losing both of his sums at the same time, and he lost his support. He lost 400 gold. That's a big lead for Ash, and definitely someone who is supposed to be more of a mid to late game champion, and Paradox is supposed to be that early game champion, and they can't win.
Yeah, and when you look at not only Ash being able to back with that 400 First Blood gold, but she also has that extra 10 CS over the Lucian, so doing very well at the beginning of the game. You couldn't ask for a better champion to jump on that because Ash can become a monster as the game gets later. The side on Recon 5, the poor thing that Scrim did was he just stepped a little bit too aggressively past the minion wave, and even though Ash, in theory, was afraid of being stunned up by the Concussive Blows passive, she had that frontline Galio, again, in front of her, being that meat shield to protect her, so she could just sit there and auto-attack away.
Bot side.
And then the Ignite comes down for the Galio. Sejuani coming in, looking for maybe a play onto this Ash, but they find it. A great Justice Punch by Galio, but that's not going to slow them down enough. Goodbye, Swifty, as the First Blood is going to be countered by Recon 5.
There is the play I was looking for. Gnarly Gnar sitting on the Sejuani. He has to make a play with Tonzo or Scrim. That passive is just too strong to not take an advantage of, and they were able to use it. They realize Swifty doesn't have his summoner spells up, and they get the kill for themselves to counteract the kill that went over to Swifty early on for the First Blood, and now that should completely open up an opportunity for Recon 5 to get this dragon.
That's what I love to see teams do. They find a small advantage, they maximize that. They say, you know what, we're not just going to take this kill, we're going to take something in addition to that. We're going to grab the Mountain Drag, Winds of War from the Galio, attempted to steal it away, but not close enough. Nice smite by Gnarly Gnar, securing that. And so far, even though the gold is slightly in favor of Impulse Ghosting, it feels like Recon 5 is neck and neck with them when it comes to wanting to make plays this game.
Yeah, and now Bluxy in the mid lane may look for something. Sejuani's on the opposite side of the wall.
Oh, there she's going to come over the wall to Lissandra. Ultimate is going to be cleansed away, so the Zoe going to be able to get out for the moment. She sneaking a little bit of a flash there, as she had picked up earlier. She's now sitting on that stolen smite ability. Yeah, so just do the really good cleanse by the Zoe.
Oh, bot
and the
lane.
Flash by Sejuani. In the bottom lane, the taunt, though, going to come through for the Galio. Goodbye, Brahma. Second time, the Sun's going to land onto the Galio. But again, he's playing that tank, and he's doing so well. The Lucian cannot get through to the Ashe because Herox is just doing a fantastic job of being right there in his face.
Yeah, putting the pressure on Paradox, not allowing him to get to Swifty. Now Swifty does take a fair amount of damage here. And
There's Elise over the wall, though. We'll see when they come in. Paradox going to be in a lot of trouble. Elise going to go into the spider form and just walk right in, knowing that she could rappel up and clear away the turret focus. And Bluxy comes in with a fantastic gank, making it currently 3-1 in the game.
Yeah, this is not what we expected to see from these bot lanes because Paradox and Scriv, they have the advantage already. You have the Braum Lucian, and Swifty and Hero are playing this super well on the Ashe and Galio, picking themselves up 2 kills down there in the bot lane. Bluxy then following up, picking up a kill on the top lane. Oh!
Rexalis just flashes in. He was poking out the Akali, and just when you feel that he's going to clear a little bit of farm and back away, he says, nope, I know my champion. I know the damage that I can do. Flash in, lands a couple of those perfect Qs, finishes off the Akali solo, and now he can clear some of those turrets. And at the moment, you're seeing a winning bot side for IG, a winning top side for IG. The mid lane is just defensively doing well, but 20 CS up over Zoe, and Impulse ghosting look like they may have the early edge in this game. There's the ultimate pulled out by the Aatrox. World Ender used. However, I don't think he's going to find himself any kills or assists, and he will fall with a nice gank by Gnarlynar to get a bit of revenge for the Akali.
Yeah, he got the kill up in the top lane and then kind of got greedy. He wanted the plates from the turret to get himself more gold, but Tanza took advantage of it. Gnarlynar was already up there, teleported in, made a nice play, giving him a kill back. Now here looking for something in the bot lane, gets a taunt onto him, but nothing else. Oh, in the jungle!
Yeah, the cocoon lands onto Gnarlynar. The boar immediately forced to rush away. We'll see if the Elise, though, can chase it through. That's the repel that I said for the collapse. He's just going to get a little bit more damage. Oh, the early game Elise is doing work. 2-0-0. However, might find the Akali at the top side. The Aatrox having TP'd in. We'll see if he can help Bluxy get out alive. Yes, so far he's been able to do so as Tanzo forced to run away. We'll see if the Aatrox can collapse. He doesn't have flash available, and Akali does. However, there is a Lysandra trying to collapse over the wall. The Claw going to get her close. Not enough to root up the Akali, and she's still going to run. Might even go for the execute inside the enemy team base.
Yeah, and the advantage that R5 can try to take from this, at least what they can try to get from it, was Sindillion pushing the wave and having your nurse lose a couple of CS for himself. But that kill for Bluxy is just getting him so further ahead. The top side looking good. The jungle has the advantage. Ashe and Galio completely changing the way the bot lane should have gone and putting it in IG's favor, giving them this early game. They did lose the dragon, but now they should be able to pick up this Herald. And if they use this Herald in the mid lane or in the top lane, allowing for your nurse or Rexalis to make their way across the map and kind of rotate and get a little movement, they should be able to slowly in the mid game put this game even further in their favor and create a bigger snowball.
Yeah, they're doing quite well. There's Lysandra going in, finding the root under the Zoe, throws down the ultimate as well. It is cleansed by the moment, by a condition. However, he's going to be forced to flash, use the real Zoe flash to get back to the turret. And in the bottom side, that pressure you were talking about from the Galio, every single time a fight breaks out, the bottom side from Recon 5 focus the Galio, and Galio says, that's fine, that's what I'm here for. Give me all your damage. Ashe can free hit you. Look at the Galio lineup, 0-0-3, and he's got a golden stopwatch in his inventory, so he can play confidently, he can play aggressively, because he knows that he has that as a backup, dropping a good ward, catching sight of Sejuani Gnarlynar on the bottom side, hoping to make a play with the ultimate that was coming up in just a few seconds, but nope, we'll have to walk away.
Yeah, in the mid lane.
Going to land on Lysandra. A little bit of poke, but your nurse able to get out. Just that harassment by this Zoe.
Yeah, that's not going to do too much because your nurse was probably going to back anyways. But still, having that damage onto him, basically forcing him to back anyways, even if he was thinking about staying. But now on the top side, Rexless pops the World Ender.
Well, we'll see if that's going to get him out. I don't know. Is the Akali going to jump in? There's that 5-point strike and a slash to the back. Tanzo picks up his second kill on that top side. So earlier when Aatrox found a bit of a lead, it has pretty much been quelled. He's still got 10 CS up over this Akali, but no major items completed at the moment. So we'll see as they're still sitting on those thrift stores of items, which one they will grab. Zoe making a little bit of a roam towards the bottom side of the map. However, good wardage by Impulse Ghosting, keeping up this pressure because they know that Zoe's going to have to walk away seeing as she was seen.
Yeah, and you know, one thing that I'm noticing is Bluxy really is playing on the spot side. He wants to get the Herald on the bottom half, so that allows for Swifty and Hero to rotate somewhere else in the map and gain the advantage even more. The 2v2 for them definitely is still good because of the play that they made earlier on, but if they can make plays onto Sindillion or onto Tanzo and across the map and maybe even get objectives for themselves, it will allow for IG to slowly snowball this game even further on. Herald has been popped. They're looking for the bot lane. Gnarly Gnar making his way on over. The Herald hasn't charged yet onto the turret. There is about a minute left before those plates go down. He's on the opposite side. Sindillion making his way on over.
There's a Sejuani jumping over, throws out that ultimate, locking down the Ashe. A perfect champion to focus down. And now Bluxy going to be the target. Goes ahead and runs the repel. However, that is just delaying time, letting the Galio walk away. There's the CC stun as well. Lucian picking up a second kill. But man, Gnarly Gnar with precision on that ultimate finds a great kill onto the Ashe. Swifty going down early. Now they're going to turn onto the Ocean Drake, which will be the second Drake of the game. And again, they find themselves a kill in the bottom lane. They rotate and grab a Drake.
Yeah, very well done by Gnarly Gnar. And Sindillion, realizing it, they saw that the Herald was popped. He made his way on down and was able to help out his team. They pick up a couple kills for themselves. And having the kills back on Paradox gets him back into this game. And that's the funny thing. You're like, Lucian, you're supposed to be that early game damage. And because he got behind, he wasn't doing very much, but now that he got these 2 kills, he gets himself the Blade of the Ruin King. He matches out the items that Swifty has and allows himself to be able to hopefully put in some damage in a fight between these 2 bot laners. But now, the Ocean Drag, the Mountain Drag, given to Recon 5. Ocean Drag will help him out a lot in the laning phase. And, oh, Tanzo taking a lot of damage. Bluxy moving on forward.
No, Tanzo can turn in onto Aatrox. However, doesn't want to go underneath the turret just yet because the Elise is coming up. The Cocoon is going to miss, using the Shroud effectively, but Tanzo's still going to drop. Bluxy comes out with an excellent kill on that top side. A great and perfect timed gank. Really just a response due to the pressure of the Akali. Something to note in the bottom lane. They do have their ultimates available. We'll see if Ashe, using the Archer's focus, will be the Ranger's focus, excuse me. There's a lot of damage that's being absorbed by the Unbreakable from the Braum. He's trying to step forward, but he won't be able to do so. And Channel Crystal Air will lock him up. Scrim falls for a third time this game. However, Sindillion around the corner, going to throw out the CV Trouble Bubble onto Galio and gets his Justice Punch to avoid the paddles start coming in. He's actually going to go ahead and stopwatch as well a little bit early because the Sejuani is here. We'll see if the CC comes through. The ult is going to miss. Only a little bit slow onto Swifty. A critical error from the side of Recon 5. Could have had themselves an extra kill, but have to back away.
Yeah, and now that Impulse got that kill, gets their bot lane even further ahead. And with the fact that Bluxy was able to pick up a kill onto Tanzo in the top lane, Rixalis stayed alive, getting the jungle ahead, getting your AD carry ahead, and slowly pushing this game even further in your favor. And you know, Bluxy, I got to give it to him. The man has been moving across the map so well. His pathing has been phenomenal. He's been able to make plays when Gnarly Gnar has tried to make plays or even make plays just by himself for his team. And it honestly has opened up IG's opportunity across the map throughout the entire game.
The one thing I'm concerned about, though, is he's taking a lot of these kills, and eventually we'll need to start gifting some of those kills over. Flashes it, finds the Cocoon. The Akali, however, is inside the Shroud, so it's going to be up to the Aatrox's AoE. We'll see if that comes down. He has World Ender available, hasn't used it. Lissandra, though, going to go over the wall, has the Claw, doesn't take it with a nice knockback from Gnarly Gnar, keeping Lissandra from engaging underneath the turret. They're waiting for the wave to come and crash. Lissandra does have that Glacial Prison available, so she could use that to try to lock someone down. Excuse me, it's Glacial Prison on the Sejuani and Glacial Tomb. I love it. Oh, we also have Glacial Fissure on the Braum. All 3 Glacial champions in one game makes play-by-play casting the best.
Yeah, you know, got all the different abilities to look forward to seeing. But anyways, Bluxy trying to make a play top lane with the flash, but the Shroud keeping Tanzo alive for a little bit longer. Now in the mid lane, your nurse is going on to Sindillion.
Oh, there's that ultimate immediately cleansed once again. You've seen that so many times by Sindillion, and a great pickup in the spell category to make sure that he can get out of those Lissandra ultimates. Let's play up the top side onto the Aatrox. Rixalis going ahead and throwing out that World Ender. Not going to keep him alive. He's locked down. CC and Sejuani. Gnarly Gnar, the coach, comes out with the kill.
Yeah, and now no turrets have been taken down yet, so there is still the First Blood turret to look for. And right now, because Tanzo and Gnarly Gnar got that turret, they're trying to look for it, and now on the bot side, IG is looking for something.
Oh, they got the 2-man taunt cleansed up by the Lucian as he's running away. Relentless Pursuit going to get him out alive for the moment as the Braum is going to fall again. He's been kind of given over as just let the Braum fall. We'll keep the ADC alive. However, with that play on the bottom side of the map. That means the first turn of the game is going to go over to Recon 5 on this top side, keeping the game pretty aggressive at the moment as Zoe goes golden in the mid lane. Try to stay alive as your name is here. Drake can't burst the last little bit of damage. Flashes to guarantee the Q. Goodbye, Zoe. And Sendilian falls for the first time this game.
Oh, once again, we have a teleport. Tonzo in a bad spot. Hero tried to get the taunt on him, but Tonzo had the movement speed to get away. Nicely done by your nurse in the mid lane, taking down Sendilian and allowing for himself to get a kill. A 1v1 kill, might I add. Those two haven't had much going for them, at least on the top or bottom side when they tried to make a roam. Nothing has really happened for them, but finally, your nurse gets a score for himself, and Sendilian gets taken down. But like you said, Recon 5, they got the first blood turret, and they had to trade. They did trade turrets, but the first blood turret will help them out, especially when it comes to the fact that IG got the first blood. So giving that IG had the first blood, R5 got the first turret, kind of equals it out and gives the gold back. But there still is a 3k gold lead for IG at the very moment. They're so much stronger with this Elise, and if they can play around the dragon right now and possibly look for a play or a pick onto one of the members or one of the bot lane members of Recon 5, they could open it wide up. Hero now maybe looking for something. Paradox putting a lot of damage out. Hero's just going to walk away. He's actually fairly tanky. Bubble's going to land on your nurse, but he's too far away for the paddle star to follow on back. But now,
plan around this bottom side because the Ocean Drake has respawned. It's another Ocean Drake. It would be a second for the side of Recon 5. That once you get both of those, you can wait out any fight as they might be trying to engage the fight onto the Elise. Rappel going to come through. She actually uses the proto to help to try to escape as the taunt comes through once again. Braum forced a flash, but the Aatrox is here. Galio ultimate going to be used as well. The Braum is already fallen. Sejuani going to be quick to fall as well. Double kill to Rexalis on the Aatrox. He's going to continue to chase in. He can come back up if he gets too low as the World Ender will have been sated. However, they're not going to push forward any further into the mid lane. Instead, focusing on the Ocean Drake, making sure to even those two. And the defense for the mid lane going to have to be mounted as that turret is going to start to get siege upon Zoe. Looking for a little bit of poke. Galio going to flash in, find the taunt. Sendilian, a little bit of trouble. Will be taken down. The chain's going to find him as they can now turn in onto the Akali. The Ash Arrow slowing her down for the moment. Tonzo continuing on the run. The volley going to get a little bit more poke. However, they're again going to tame the aggression and focus instead on that mid lane first tier turret.
all of these kills for IG, putting themselves even further ahead. They got the Ocean Drag, and now they'll be able to push out this mid lane turret. And with this turret being taken down, that means they have priority on this Baron. IG, the next step in this game, focus on the top lane turret and maybe even look for a play right now.
Or they might get engaged upon. They're going to try to turn onto the Braum on the bottom side of the fight as the top side, Sejuani aggression going to be calmed down. And Ash, look at those arrows. The Ranger focus, chasing them down. A couple more pokes, and Aatrox will actually sneak away with a double kill again. 6-3-1 in the top side. Had a little bit of difficulty after finding himself a kill. The Akali pressure was just a bit too much, but he has taken over these fights again and again. And we may be looking at a 20-minute Baron.
Yeah, Gnarly Gnar was taken down. That means the jungler from R5 has gone away, so they're going to look for this Baron. 3 members still alive. Your nurse on to Tonzo here. Shroud has already been used, so he's not able to use it in this fight. If they try to look for anything here, Sindelian on the opposite side of the wall may want to try to get something. And now Hero's in.
There's a Galio looking for the taunt onto the Lucian. He's going to immediately cleanse and walk away. Winds of War to chase that down. So he's still going to be looking for the Poe. Finds the Ash. That's the burst damage. They're calling for the Lucian. Takes down Aatrox as well. This is an excellent turn for Recon 5 in a 3v5 situation. They focus on their poke. They focus letting the Zoe continue to pop people's health. Herrick's taken down to under 200 health. And now the team from Recon 5 successful in their defense of Baron. May consider turning on it themselves. And Sejuani's going to go over the wall. They're going to try to get the Baron themselves.
Yeah, your nurse on the opposite side. He's only a member from IG who's still there by the Baron pit, trying to hold them off and see if he can look for something. But the bubble does land. Your nurse has to ult himself to keep himself alive for a little bit longer, but should be taken down in just a moment. Tonzo jumps over the wall and gets a shutdown for his team. Bluxy now is there by the Baron pit, going to go on forward, trying to look for something. He does get a kill for himself. Has the leap. Can he get it? And no, he's actually going to get shut down by the Ignite, which means Recon 5. Oh, wait a minute.
Hold on,
Hero?
come in. He's looking for the taunt of multiple members, but no, he doesn't have any damage to speak of. He's a tanky Galio, and he's going to be chunked down by Recon 5, whose all members were just sitting there beating him up after the Baron falls. In the end, a successful fight by Recon 5. The defense holds the Baron, and then they're able to claim it. They lose a couple people along the way as that Lucian did go down. However, look at the cooldowns on those death timers from Impulse Gaming. They lost a lot trying to fight for it. They're still up 2,000 gold, though. So that shows you overall how well Impulse Gaming is doing this game. The fact that they could lose so heavily around the Baron, lose the Baron as well, and be up 2,000 gold says they're just doing a fantastic job this game, even with those small mistakes.
Yeah, Recon 5 getting themselves back into this game. 4 members have that Baron. Sadly, Paradox did get taken down. Bluxy was able to get one before he got killed. And the vision control right now that Recon 5 has on the top side when they were going for that Baron really helped them out. They saw where each member of IG was coming from, and they were able to take that Baron for themselves. Slow does land onto Bluxy, but not going to follow up. They want to look for this mid lane. They want to use the Baron as much as they can. It's very difficult for IG right now to clear out these minion waves unless they have Swifty nearby. They do have Swifty there, but when it comes to Tanzo split pushing, the amount of pressure Tanzo can put, and he has a lot of damage for himself. Oh, nice damage to Bluxy there. Should be able to push out the side lanes without a problem, and there possibly is going to be another fight here. You notice with the claw over the wall. Not going to take it. But Recon 5 right now, waiting for the wave to come to the mid lane. Now going to look for the mid lane play. There is a chance they look for a fight here as... Oh, okay, Bluxy with the cocoon lands on the Paradox. Not able to follow up. The shield is going to be there to protect him. Syndillion trying to put some damage down. Bubble is going to land. Your Nerf's not going to be going too far. And they're not going to be able to follow up with anything right now. All they're waiting on is for the next Baron wave to come through. Swifty taking a lot of damage, forcing him on back. Recon 5 pushing it up now. Swifty probably going to have to back off here or he's going to be taken down. Do have the redemption. Ooh.
Gonna be placed here, trying to heal them up. The 3-man claw, though, by the Lissandra. They're gonna try to engage over the Braum. Glacial Fissure gonna slow everything down. So the poke continues, chunking down that mid lane first tier turret for Recon 5, able to secure that. In the meantime, the Aatrox trying to defend that bottom lane first tier turret. Keep in mind, though, Tanzo's got his TP up and available.
Oh!
To fight if he wants to. Goodbye, Ash. The burst from Syndillion, fantastically placed. And this is where the siege from Recon 5 can do so well. That all they have to do is let the Baron do its work and have Zoe continue to poke away, and they are finding success with it.
Yeah, Recon 5 pushing the mid lane forward now. Syndillion got that kill on the Ashe, and it's just devastating. The amount of damage that Zoe can do even without landing the bubble is just deadly for this AD carry. You need Hero in front of her to be able to sustain, at least in those fights. But because he did get taken down, that is 2 turrets, or actually 3 turrets now for Recon 5, and an Infernal Drake. This one Baron play, one Baron mistake by IG has given a full opportunity for Recon 5 to come back into this game so strong.
Yeah, they have secured themselves a footing in the game. They're 1,000 gold lead now, plus that Infernal Drake. There's a second one going to be spawning in another 6 minutes, and Recon 5 are looking good. And I got to say, we're at the beginning of the game during the laning phase. Things were definitely a little bit of a struggle. We had a strong top lane, a strong bottom lane from the side of Impulse Gaming. Recon 5 have turned it around with the coordination on these fights. Tempered aggression has been the tone of this game. We're going to keep throwing out our poke, but we're not going to dive until we know that we can secure these kills. We're not going to do anything insane until we know that we can win the fight, and they are doing it perfectly. With that Ocean Drake sitting on their front line, Sejuani, she is massively tanky. 3 items up, and anytime a fight doesn't go their way in the first couple of seconds, they just back away, heal it all up, and then look for the re-engage.
Yeah, the early game was definitely not Recon 5's advantage. It should have been, but they weren't able to get the advantage that they wanted, and you know, we've seen it many times before. We saw it yesterday in the Fruition game versus LSG. One small mistake around this Baron can cause you the game. Fruition in the game number 1, they had the same situation. They were on the blue side. They were trying to make a play for Baron, and then they get caught out a little bit, and LSG just took over, and that's the same thing Recon 5 did here. And you know, Recon 5, they are down 3 kills, but they have the advantage with the Drakes, with the turrets, and you know, with the champions that they have right now, and the way that they're playing is like you said, you have the Zoe who can do a lot of damage from a distance and keep the pressure on the enemy. And you know, one thing I'm noticing is that IG doesn't have the best wave clear. Their only source of wave clear at this very moment, because of Syndillion, is that Ashe, and Ashe can't walk up unless she has someone in front of her. So Syndillion is just taking advantage of it over and over again. And if Swifty decides to fall on back and not try to go for the minions before it falls into the turret, that means R5 can just walk on up and take the turret without a problem.
Oh, this is so exciting, especially because the side of Recon 5 struggled at the beginning. They're coming back. However, we do have a pause we're watching at the moment. My belief is that it's Impulse Ghosting that was taking a moment, taking a breather. You got to reset for a little bit and then come back with a bit of a new idea. And the thing that they need to do is focus on these catching abilities. This is going to be the ultimate out of Lissandra. However, there's that just straight into the Enchanted Crystal Arrow from the Ashe as well. But again, they're focusing on the tank. That's not what you want to focus on. And the re-engagement for Recon 5 will punish the Lissandra. She's going to fall. The Lucian chasing for forever. Bluxy in trouble. Tries to use the Repel to survive for a little bit longer. He's able to flash the wall and get out. Excellent positioning there. But still, that is continuing to give pressure to Recon 5. They can roam and try to secure this top lane second tier turret. It was the right idea, but on the wrong person. It's an over 3,000 health double tank item, Sejuani. You're not going to burst her down. If they had that on the Lucian or the Akali or the Zoe, different story. But in this case, Recon 5 now can push in past the second tier turret. They're continuing to poke Impulse Ghosting underneath their inhibitor turret on this top side. Aatrox going to go over the wall. See if he can make a play. Finds two-man knockup. The rest of the team is here. The CC is good. Zoe able to get out with pixels on the health bar. Scrim is going to follow. Rexalis will chase that one in. The repel from the Elise not going to get close enough. The chase continues from Rexalis, trying to get a little bit of speed boost. Redemption coming in just to poke a little bit more damage. Sandillion is again blinking red. We'll see if this Zoe can make the escape. And Sleepy Trouble Bubble is going to slow down the Aatrox just a little bit longer. Bluxy's around the wall in trouble. Throws out that repel to survive a little bit longer. Lucian continuing to poke away. The Galio has found the taunt. Bluxy picks up the kill under the Lucian. Paradox goes down for a third time. The play is called off as members from Impulse Ghosting know this Baron is coming up shortly. Maybe they hope that this was enough that they could turn onto the Baron, but they're returning Recon 5 around that top side. They're not willing to give this one up.
Such a nice play there by IG, able to turn that around. Sandillion walked up a little too far, got himself caught, but he didn't get taken down. Then Scrim is the one who got taken down on the other end. Rexless flashing over to get Scrim and take him down, possibly following up with the World Ender, not able to look for anything else. But then you saw Paradox tried to look for a kill on the Bluxy. He jumped on up. Hero followed in with the Hero's entrance. And then Paradox was in a really bad spot. Bluxy landed a nice cocoon, got himself away from that fight. And Paradox had to use a cleanse for the cocoon, but there was already too much CC on him and took him down. So very well done by IG in the end there to pick up some kills for themselves and try to get themselves back into this game. Recon 5 did pick up the top lane turret, so they have opened up the map even more for themselves. The only tier 2 turret left for IG is that bot lane turret, so I would not be surprised if Recon 5 right now are going to prioritize the top side of the map because of the Baron, and then if they are able to successfully get this Baron, look for something on the bot side. One other thing to note, Rexless has teleport while Tanzo doesn't. Tanzo is splitting at the very moment, which means IG have the advantage because Rexless can go back, he can try to hold the wave against Tanzo, while Tanzo can't teleport into a fight, and Rexless can.
Yes, you can actually see right now that that's what the Aatrox is doing. He's heading back. There's been a lot of vision secured by Impulse Ghosting, but not enough to lay full claim around the Baron. So Recon 5 can confidently push forward a little bit into this mid lane. You can see their thinking on Recon 5. We don't want to fight around the Baron because we could lose the fight considering that our Kali doesn't have TP. So instead, we're going to push you back into your own base and then reposition around a Drake. Now, the question is, how is Impulse Ghosting going to respond to this? So they're still going to be looking for these fights. The Ashe Arrow is still up. I want to see them using this more often to try to find these picks, but they need to be able to have vision, and Recon 5 continue to go where Impulse Ghosting can't see.
Yeah, and they have to be careful. If they try to look for a pick on a Tanzo, that means that R5 could maybe look for the Baron or even look for this Dragon. Right now, R5 is focused on that Infernal Dragon, and with Tanzo on the bot side, keeping the pressure up, the lane pushed up, they allow for them to look for this Dragon even more. Bluxy now walking on forward. Bubble does land on the Hero on the back side. Tanzo is there, and now they're going to go on in.
The Sejuani going to be going forward. However, Galio ultimate kind of going to be wasted. However, Aatrox is on the backside of the fight. The Lucian is already dropped. The rest of the team going forward. Rexalis taking down the Braum. The tank line was left out to dry. Zoe pushed off of that fight by the Lissandra, shoving her away. Infernal Drake to Impulse Ghosting, and now they can turn onto the Baron in a 5v2 situation.
Yeah, no members lost by IG at this very moment. R5 lost 3 members, and now that IG has lost no members, they got themselves the Infernal Dragon. They can look for this Baron. They don't have to worry about it all. The only thing R5 can do right now is push that bot lane turret and try to hold the mid lane wave, and IG turn themselves back into this game, get themselves a dragon, and now the Baron.
And so many of these sites have been played off of, we're going to absorb your initiation and then initiate back on you. That Galio ultimate, absolutely perfect to be able to say, look, Sejuani, you want to engage on me so the rest of your team can kill me and then get to my squishy backlines. I'm going to ult, become untargetable. The Elise can do the same thing. In that untargetable state, the Aatrox is sneaking around behind to the back of the fight. People not paying attention. You can see that they did have a ward down there, so that could have been called, but great positioning by Rexalis to make that collapse, and right around the Infernal Drake as well has just given a huge swing of pressure to Impulse Ghosting.
Yeah, and I'm so surprised that Tanzo did not try to hold that tri-bush. He held the backside of the pit, and I think R5 was really focusing on that dragon and wanted to go for it, but IG realized the advantage that they had, and Rexalis was able to get behind the enemy without Tanzo knowing. They went for the fight, they were able to pick up 3 kills, won the fight, and now gave themselves even a further lead in this game. And that, having Tanzo position himself on that spot of the map really hurt our Recon 5, but now Gnarly Gnar is in.
Going over the wall, looking for Rexalis, had dropped him down by about a third. However, he is huge at the moment. 8, 4, and 3. He's completed 3 major items. Has that Surge Gaze as well. However, it has already been popped, so it's going to be a little bit before it comes back off a cooldown. The Zoe going to go ahead and use her E, which is a redemption, making sure the team is topped off. Halp trying to defend the second tier turret. The Sejuani once again playing that front line. Zoe looking for the poke. The Sleepy Trouble Bubble not going to land. The Sejuani still playing that front line. We'll see if Sendurlian can catch anyone off the Aatrox down to about half health. Your Nurse over the wall looking for a potential opportunity to claw in. There she goes, looking for the ultimate. The flash force out by the Zoe. Sejuani going to use the Gargoyle Swim Play, taking life for a little bit longer and absorbing the Lissandra ultimate. And now the Akali going into the back line. Tanzo going to go ahead and go gold and stay alive as the Galio ultimate going to knock off the squishy members as the back line again. Now Brom's turn to try to be that front line tank. The Galio having to escape with very low health. Lissandra as low, and they left the squishies out. Bluxy will drop. The Lissandra going to be able to use the claw to escape, but that is a 1-4-4 fight, and Recon 5 absorb the pressure and all of the spells from Impulse Ghosting. A huge team fight win for Recon 5.
Yeah, and that is not how IG wanted that to go. They wanted to get the turret, they thought they had the damage, and they were going to try to look for a play. Recon 5 turned it around really well, and now Paradox looking for your Nurse. Your Nurse gets taken down very low. Bubble's going to land onto the red buff. Sendilian trying to make his way over. He's not able to follow up on your Nurse. But by forcing your Nurse not to back, it allows for Recon 5's bot lane to push out this mid lane and maybe get themselves, or just get themselves a turret, but not the inhib here. But that does open up even more for them. Recon 5 did so well in that fight, turning it around. And IG, that's going to hurt them so much because they had the Baron. If they didn't have Baron, yeah, it was a play. They lost the turret. They lost a couple of kills. It will still hurt them. But in the end, you had the Baron buff. You had something that will allow you to push the base really hard and push out these waves. And instead of just trying to separate themselves, put them in a 1-4 like you said earlier, they decided to put themselves all together and try to look for a team fight. And you know, right now, with the front line with Scrim and Gnarly Gnar, it is so hard for Swifty to deal the damage that he needs on that back line.
Well, and I gotta say, there's even mentioned in the Twitch chat, Sendilian with the CP Trouble on the red buff might have stopped the red buff from the last auto attack, taking Lissandra down. We'll be able to secure the blue buff, though, so that's pretty nice to have. But as you were just saying, that 5-man pressure from Impulse Ghosting thought that with that Baron, they had the stats that they could just make a forced play in that mid lane. But again, the Sejuani and Braum are doing so good. If you were to check the stats after the game on how much health they have healed back up, they have done an amazing job of negating so much damage from Impulse Ghosting, and the high mobility out of the Zoe and Lucian, constantly making the members of Impulse Ghosting rethink their plan. You're waiting for the Zoe to overstep. You're waiting for the Lucian to have bad positioning, but when you're waiting and waiting and waiting and waiting, and then you're just burning all of your cooldowns on those tanky members, you've got nothing left for the fight afterwards. And Recon 5 are just doing so good at absorbing the pressure and then finding their own way back into the game, which was all off of Tanzo jumping into the backside of that fight. When everyone is facing forward and somebody jumps on your back, everyone turns around. Guess what? You're collapsed and you are crushed. And that's exactly what happened to IG.
Yeah, now Recon 5, they see the dragon is up, and that's their next target. Bluxy has been targeted down by the Sleepy Bubble, and it should be taken down without a problem, and that is huge. They take down the jungler of IG. Recon 5 now take control of this dragon, and IG can't do anything about it. They could try to throw an ability over, maybe look for the Dragon, but at the same time, because Bluxy was taken down and the rest of R5 is so strong anyways when it comes to team fighting, IG, all they can do is try to hold the waves at the very moment. And now, Recon 5, last thing left for them is to push these lanes and force a fight. They have the extra damage. Look at that damage right there from Paradox onto Swifty. You see that damage from the Lucian and from the Dragon. The bonus is huge. And then Sandillion, if he is able to land something, that will be devastating for any member of IG.
Yeah, a single Paddle Star could chunk someone down to about half. Now, while the siege is continuing this bottom side, if a fight breaks out, I'll interrupt myself. Well, I'll go ahead and just pause for the moment as it looks like Lysandra's going to go in, find a three-man group, but again, it's the tanky members of the front line. However, the Sun going to land onto Akali. The Enchanted Crystal Arrow force her to go golden with that Zanya, and she is trying to escape, hopping away, trying to chase into the enemy team base to escape for the moment, as it looks like Tanzo may have been able to get out. But again, by distracting the enemy team, Impulse Ghosting splits up across the map, and they can't focus one particular person down. That said, though, they defended their bot lane inhibitor turret very well off an amazing play by your Nurse. Again, just no fear, diving in with the claw, getting a three-man route, leading into the rest of the chain CC, the Galio Taunt, the Enchanted Crystal Arrow from the Ashe, even the Cocoon from Elise. Now they're going to try to turn onto the Baron. However, the Zoe and the Lucian are right here. We'll see if they can stop this, as the Baron is underneath 3,000 health. The Aatrox then come in, try to focus them away, getting a little bit of damage down. He doesn't have World Ender available. He doesn't need it, though, because the Baron is already gone. Gonna take the Blast going over the wall. CP Trouble will land. The rest of the team trying to step in to be meat shield to protect him from any Paddle Star coming over the wall. And Rexalis, defying death, gets himself out alive. 23 kills to 18. This game continues to balance on a knife's edge, as that fight, it had gone badly for Impulse Ghosting at the Baron. They were down an inhibitor in the mid lane, but now with all 5 members having that Baron, they can hold until they find the next fight.
Yeah, and one thing for this team, IG, they look at the map, they realize Baron is almost up. If we make a play here and get Gnarly Gnar or even a couple picks, we can go for this Baron. We have an Ashe. We have the burst damage to take down this Baron. So what they do, they have your Nurse, a very good engage with the Lysandra, is able to get in onto the enemy. R5 was really trying to pressure, the same thing IG did. They tried to pressure the turret and possibly look for a fight, but then it got themselves in a really bad spot. Your Nurse took advantage of it, and then slowly but surely taking down R5, and then they're able to take the turret. Now on the bot side, Gnarly Gnar is going to go on in. Rexless is the focus. Bluxy gets down to half HP off of one Paddle Star.
Oh, Lysandra going in is going to find Sandillion, at least extremely low. We'll see if this one can get out. No, she cannot. Lysandra's done the assassination. She's gotten the triple kill. The Akali forced to run away. Tanzo tried to escape the rest of her life. Your Nurse may go down, but has made the hero play. Even going to take the claw, trying to get past the turret. The Galio ultimate going to be used, knocking members up. Lysandra will fall. For the rest of the team is inside of Recon 5's base, dropping Gnarly Gnar low. The Aatrox won't go underneath the turret. The Galio flashing, trying to be that tank. However, the Akali is doing work. Tanzo is making the turnaround. Finish off the Elise. The Galio taunt only going to land onto this Sejuani, and the rest of the team focusing on those players. Now going to try to turn and instead maybe focus down this turret. I'm not sure what Rexalis is doing. Still wants this Akali. There, they finally take down the inhibitor turret in this mid lane. They're focusing on the inhibitor as well. Tanzo seeing if there's opportunities to try to make a play, but it's a 2v1 situation, and the Galio most certainly has his taunt back up, so backs away, and both teams are down an inhibitor in the mid lane.
Your Nurse with a beautiful play to get himself a triple kill and completely disrupt the backline of R5. Your Nurse, twice in a row in this game. First fight, down in the bot lane, changes the game for his team, gets him the Baron. Fight number 2, onto the backline, gets 3 kills for himself, completely giving them the advantage to push out the mid lane and equal out the super minion push. And now, because they got that for themselves, IG have equaled out themselves with Recon 5. They're about the same gold, they're about the same dragon, and with the super minions going against each other in the mid lane, we can see now that IG has more of an opportunity to push this game out and put it in their favor. And it's kind of, it's so even now that, right, it's like Recon 5, they had the advantage. IG took the advantage and killed them. And now Recon 5 was like, oh, right, we're down. IG had the advantage. They to get it taken down. Recon 5 then gets the advantage. Like, it goes back and forth. There's never a team that's just in the lead and ends the game. This is how close that these teams are going to be throughout the entire series.
That's what I'm excited about this series. It is not one game. We get to see these teams smash heads multiple times over. This is only game one. We're past the 40-minute mark, and the goal is only 1,000 difference between the two. We're at the point where a single team fight by either side could determine the winner of game one. So every movement is going to be absolutely critical. Things to watch. These side lanes. Top side is pushing in favor of Recon 5. Bottom side is in favor of Impulse Gaming, as that Elise is going down there. The bottom side second tier turret is a couple auto attacks away from going down. Now note here in the mid lane, as all the CC lands onto Aatrox, he just takes it, beefs through it, and the rest of the team is now going to try to push Recon 5 back. Well, I've got a moment. I want to mention the fact that on the side of Impulse Ghosting, you saw how many champions during picks and bans they picked for that pick potential. The Ashe, the Elise. However, it was responded to by the Zoe, who has one of the longest range pick abilities in the game with that Sleepy Trouble bubble. And that's the problem that Impulse Ghosting has had so far this game, is that Sandillion is starting these fights with a good bubble and the rest of the team collapses afterwards. However, when they're getting shoved into their own base and you're just meters away from the Zoe, you don't have time to set those plays up, as they're going to try to fight around the Drake, the Elder Drake, up right now. Aatrox is going to go in, and Shadow Crystal are going to land onto Braum. We'll see if he can play the defensive side, as the rest of the team going to jockey for position around this Elder Drake. This is Johnny still going to be going forward. Gnarly Gnar taken down to about half health. The Aatrox has dropped the World Ender, but the CC from Your Nurse is good, forcing the flash backwards from the Lucian. Paradox cannot get into this fight. He's continuing to set back, but the Aatrox is doing exactly what he needs to do. He's traded out for the Galio, who's now being that front line. They have lost their Ashe, but so has Akali gone down. So one carry each, both teams falling, as Heroic's down to about half health there. The Zoe's still looking for the poke. Sendion can just keep doing this over and over again. Sleepy Time Trouble Bubble, dropping the Galio low. He can't find the taunt, but the Elise has assassinated the Lucian. She is gonna fall, but it's a trade for the Braum as well. Double kill for the Elise. Look at how close this team fight is, as we are now down to 2 members each. Both teams considering backing away completely. Your Nurse dropping a little bit low. The Aatrox is still here. The World Ender is gone, but the Zoe has the burst. She can keep doing this all day long. Takes down the Lissandra. Aatrox trying to look for the kill. He's still going to be able to fight it, as she jumps right back from the other half of her portal and now can chase it to Gnarly Gnar. And this fight has been an absolute gnarly one, but with a potential last hit, Rexalis makes it an ace for Impulse Gaming and immediately TPs in to Recon 5's base.
He's going in!
There's super minions that are in! He can just auto attack the Nexus down!
Oh, Tanzo's up, wait!
One fight. Tanzo's going to try to protect it. The Nexus, however, it is dropping low. Rexalis doesn't have to care about the Akali. He's got enough health. He just needs a couple more auto attacks. He's taking it down. The Tail Crystal Arrow would have guaranteed the game, but the damage from the Aatrox is through. And Impulse Gaming will secure game one in a absolutely nutty finish. I have never seen a game end like that. That was absolutely insane.
What just happened? That is not what I expected to happen. There's so many people who had Recon 5 as the main team winning this. They're the #1 team in this league. Why is IG being able to do this? IG is stepping up more than ever. And then now showing themselves in the semifinals, saying, you know what? We want to go to the finals. We want to take on LSG. And that very well played in the end there. They were able to get the fight in their favor. And you know, one thing I noticed is the base was being pushed for Recon 5, but instead of just backing off and trying to run away and letting Aatrox do whatever he needs to, they tried to look for another fight. They tried to look for a pick on Lissandra. They did get it. The 600 bounty went over to Zoe. But in the end, the Aatrox was so strong, he got the Conqueror off and then was able to 2v1, finish the game off for his team. Just an insane ending, and very well done by Impulse in the end.
Well, once again, it came down to the champions that had those extra life bars. You think about the Lissandra, that ultimate healing her up. Rexalis on that Aatrox, getting the World Ender passive off, so he comes back up and can just continue the fight again and again. And he's got that life steal, whereas Zoe, she could do a lot of bursts, that she doesn't have life steal. She's not going to be healing back up. She only hopes to hit you from a mile away. And Aatrox, at that point in the game, an absolute monster. And he just waited perfectly. One of the issues with Aatrox is is his lengthy cooldowns. He waited those out so well, got the ace, and I just had no idea the play where he TPs into the enemy team Nexus and solos the turret and the Nexus down. That was an absolutely amazing finish by IG. They should be proud of that game. I'm excited to see what these teams have in game number 2 because that whole game at the 40-minute mark, there was 1,000 difference. I'm hoping we get 3 crazy games just like this one.
Yeah, dude, I want this to go to game 3. This is so intense, and this is for the finals, by the way. Like, everyone in this chat, you probably already know this, but it is so hyped. This is the semifinals. This decides who goes to the finals. IG, if they take the next game, they go on to face LSG. Recon 5, if they win the next game, they have to win one more to put themselves in contention for the finals. And you know, sadly, I have to do this, give a chance for the teams to converse with their coaches and get themselves ready for game number 2. So right now, what we're going to do is move on over to intermission, and we'll be back in about 5 minutes. Stay tuned. Woo, get ready for game number 2.
I needed a breather after that last fight for sure.
There we go. We're back in it, baby. Game number 2 is about to commence. Game number 1 was insane. Recon 5 got taken down by Impulse Ghosting. Completely unexpected.
Yeah, it was absolutely nuts, and the game was far more even than I think anyone was expecting, but definitely a joy for us as casters how close those games were. Now, as we start up the picks and bans for game number 2, you got to start looking at what did well game number 1, and immediately you're seeing from Recon 5, take away the Aatrox, get it off of Rexalis, who decimated, did a little bit of a struggle on that top during the laning phase, but basically after the laning phase was over, started to just take over the game. Excellent positioning, excellent timing of those cooldowns, and one of the difficult things with that World Ender ult is you have to find a kill or an assist, and he could consistently do that. The Lysandra also taken away as the Zoe, one of the problems for Impulse Ghosting, who had great pick potential with that Sleepy Trouble bubble, gets taken off the Braum as well. So with so much of the champions we just saw played in game number 1 being taken away, game number 2 is going to look like a very different game.
Oh yeah, most definitely. Game number 1, like you said, Aatrox needs to be taken away 100% of the time. Rexalis cannot get it back. One other pick that I was really wanting Impulse to take, not Impulse, Recon 5 to take away, is that Ashe or Galio. If you want to play that Braum, take away that Galio. You saw how strong Hero was on it in the early to mid game. He completely dominated, giving Swifty and Hero the 2v2 potential against an early game bot lane.
Yeah, and there was also some excellent rowing by Blux. The problem with trying to ban away enemy team junglers is the fact that, they can pick just another jungler just as good, as they're not focusing on jungle at the moment. They are going to get a little bit in that bottom lane. Impulse Ghosting. Kai'Sa, a bit of a different pick than the Ashe. With the Ashe then, Channel Crystal Arrow, you can find some good picks. However, Kai'Sa has to rely on her team to do that pick for her, but as a late game scaling champion, it can bring massive damage, but they have allowed the Morgana to slip through, and now with the Morgana and Sivir both picked up by Recon 5's bottom lane, that is a incredibly safe lane, because there's so many spell shields that's basically daring Impulse Ghosting to pick the Galio. You cannot pick a Galio into a double spell shield bottom lane, because time and time again, that taunt is just going to get spell shielded and you're going to do nothing. You're going to be out of position and you have a very good likely chance of falling.
Yeah, and you see the Sylas come out, you see the Poppy come out. 2 champions who have very good CC. You have the knockup from Sylas, you have the pin, and you also have the dash cancel from Poppy against Aurelia. So Poppy does really well into an Aurelia, but when you have Morgana's shield on the Aurelia, it doesn't matter. She'll be able to do whatever she wants. So like you said, the Morgana Sivir, very safe lane, very strong for them. Now Impulse Ghosting, going to be banning out the Akali and the Sejuani. They don't want Gnarly Gnar to get that Sejuani once again. Galio being banned out, and now Rek'Sai is going to be the last ban for Recon 5. Impulse Ghosting have a couple of picks that they can still go for here.
We'll see what they decide to grab. I like from Recon 5, they took the Spell Shield champions, dared to pick the Galio, they didn't pick it, so we'll just ban the Galio just to be safe. It doesn't hurt, just take him off the table anyway. And then one thrown out towards the enemy team jungle. Something to note is the likelihood for Impulse Ghosting actually picking up the Elise again in the jungle is slim, considering that you have so much Spell Shield. One Black Shield basically nullifies a lot of Elise's engage, so it's very likely that some other champion is going to come through for Luxie. We'll see what they grab as the Nami comes in. She is one of those interesting champions. You don't see her a lot in pro play because she's so incredibly squishy. So it is all about positioning. You have to be close enough that you can get those heals and be able to drop bubbles, throw out that ultimate when necessary. However, it does allow you to kind of sit back and just feed so much gold into the Kai'Sa because she can just safely farm away. You're going to see a very passive bottom lane between these laners unless the Morgana lands a Dark Binding, just because there isn't that much overall deep engage like a Galio could be.
Yeah, and with the flex pick from oh, wait a minute. Is that?
Well, the Ivern pick up by Recon 5. Now, normally speaking, Pro Draft has been known to have a couple of errors and issues before. However, we're not getting an indication that this is an error. That does seem to be Recon 5 for their jungle. They want to grab this Ivern. So, Gnarly Gnar, who just played out Sejuani, looking for the Ivern. Very slow jungler at the beginning of the game, but once he hits 6, he has pretty good gank potential with that with Daisy. And the Elise is going to come through anyway with Impulse Ghosting. Basically, Caster Curse, they said, you know what, we heard you talking about all the negatives for taking the Elise. We're gonna take it anyway.
Yeah, and I'm looking at these compositions, and one thing that I noticed for Recon 5, they first picked on the blue side a champion that can be flexed. Aurelia can go top or mid lane, and because they realized the matchup for her, which is going to either be Poppy or Sylas, they're like, you know what, well, let's grab... Sorry, excuse me, I don't know what just happened there. But they're like, you know what, well, let's put her up against a better matchup for her, so which is the Sylas rather than the Poppy, because Poppy, all she has to do when they try to fight is pop that W, and Aurelia can't do anything for about 2.5 seconds, making it so difficult for her to lane. And you know how strong Aurelia's laning phase can be, so if you put her in the mid lane and give that advantage against this Sylas, she has more of an opportunity to make plays. And we've seen many times before, like on Tilted, on, I believe it was, Cindillion was able to pull off the Aurelia really well and make a game-changing plays in the mid lane. And now with that Ivern pick, allows for a lot safer game in that mid game. So you have the spell shield from Morgana on Aurelia. Sivir, you don't even have to spell shield because she has one of her own. Kennen is your initiator for the team fights or even looking for a pick. And then you have the protection from Ivern across the map. He's probably going to go for those Mobies early on so he can make some plays and get himself some CS, like you said. Doesn't have the greatest early game, but still is, if he is able to become that very mobile champion across the map, he can help out his team so much. And, getting that first item for Ivern will allow him to focus on the Sivir and Aurelia, getting them ahead, and then opening up the map for them to make plays across the map for Recon 5. Impulse, in this early game, they have to do something. That's their advantage right here, is this early game.
Yeah, because what I'm seeing for them, when they, on the side of Recon 5, when you grab the Kennen for the top lane, he's a fairly safe champion. You can usually either, if he can't straight up 1v1, which in the case of Poppy, she should be tanky enough that it should be fine. Kennen, usually when he gets in trouble, he just uses that lightning rush to get out of harm's way, moves on, and just goes back to farming on that top side. It's not until the laning phase is pretty much over that he's going to be looking to come in with the massive slicing maelstrom. He's got some small split push potential, but he's not that tanky, so more than likely just surviving through the laning phase, trying to get as much farm as possible, get his 2-item power spike, and then join team fights with the slicing maelstrom, which means Ivern, once again, is going to be focusing on the mid and bottom side. Now, in the last game, we saw Gnarly Gnar attempting that. We saw his good ganks in the bottom side of the map. We saw his okay ganks in the mid lane. But it is a Sylas and a Kai'Sa Nami. You immediately look at the Kai'Sa Nami, they're not going to be pushed far forward. They're not going to be doing that much aggressive pushing because they want to be able to back away or dodge whenever Morgana Dark Bindings comes out. Don't want to get hit by those underneath the enemy turret. And you look at Sylas, an incredibly slippery champion. He is deceptively mobile with those chain dashes. So it's going to be on Ivern to actually find positioning in those mid and bottom side to actually get the CC that allows the rest of the team to try to find those kills. Otherwise, he could just be mostly sitting back and farming and allowing the Elise to be the one who's starting those fights with those early game cocoons.
Yeah, for sure. And this game, to me, is looking real good for Recon 5. I like the way they drafted. They started with the Aurelia to flex, so they had the opportunity to choose, and then they followed up with the very safe bot lane and top lane, like you said. The Morgana, Sivir, Kennen, very good for them to hold on back, and you can tell Recon 5 is really playing for that mid game. You have the Ivern for protection, you have the rest of the team to with the source of damage, that as soon as they get 1 to 2 items, they should be fine. Sivir, a little bit more, about three items is when she tends to start showing up more damage. But with Impulse right now, what they're looking for is that Kai'Sa and Nami have to play not too aggressive, but just enough to where it forces the Sivir Morgana back. And because it's a Sivir Morg, they can play safe and kind of go against the Nami and Kai'Sa. But you also have to worry about for Sivir and Morgana that you have the Elise. And yeah, you have the double spell shield and it can be very defensive for you. But Kai'Sa does very well at taking away the spell shield from Sivir. And then Nami also can follow up with a CC for herself. And then you also have the Cocoon. So if you can get the correct chain of CC from Impulse ghosting down to the spot lane, they can make a play. And even in the mid lane, Sylas does a fair amount of damage early on, as well as Elise. And so I think Impulse's main focus here should be the mid or the top lane.
I completely agree with that. I'm actually expecting Biloxi to spend a lot of time, especially towards the top side of the map. One of the things with Poppy is that while she is a decently strong champion in her own right, if you can get her ahead, if you can get her 3, 4, 600 gold ahead of her opponent, she can take over the game, not so much in damage, but in just pure tank stats. It's so hard to kill a Poppy that has a gold lead. And when you look at the side of Recon 5, there's no burst. The best that they can hope for is a long, drawn-out fight that allows Sivir to just land a ton of crits, that allows Irelia to be diving towards that backside, looking for the Nami and Kai'Sa, and Poppy, as you said earlier, is going to be that front line that basically says, nope, you can't get through me, and even if you do, guess what? I've got an ultimate to send you back towards your own base. So I'm hoping from Biloxi to see a lot of attention headed towards that top side to try to knock this Kennen down, especially early on into the game. And another thing we got to look at here as we're talking about this top and mid is this Sylas. What ultimates are available for him to steal? Most likely it's going to be Tanzo's ultimate that he's grabbing multiple times over because of his ability to smoothly get into the middle of a team fight with those chain hooks, then being able to drop the slicing maelstrom on a bunch of people, plus his AP stats are going to just max that ultimate out, and it will hurt. He still has potential. I believe he actually can spawn one of his own daisies by stealing away Ivern's ultimate. Outside of that, it's unlikely he's going to be looking for anyone else's.
Yeah, and you know, one thing I have noticed is a lot of people, when they tend to have a Sylas going up against a Sivir, they actually tend to grab her ult a lot of the times because with their team comp, not preferably this one, but with other team comps, they use the Sylas to steal the Sivir ult and give their team movement speed into a fight. And I have to agree, not going to be grabbing the Sivir most often. Kennen, definitely your first focus. And then Morgana could also be an option if Kennen's is not available to you. And you know, I'm looking at Impulse Ghosting right now. I like the Sylas pick. I like the Poppy pick for themselves, especially because Poppy was supposed to go against Aurelia. It could give them a chance in this middle game. But one of the things that I really want to now dive into before this game starts is that late game. And right now, to me, Recon 5's late game looks really good, but if you look at Impulse Ghosting, you have a front line, you have two people with lockdowns, and Kai'Sa Nami combo in that late game is pretty devastating.
Yeah, so we'll see how the teams line up, and for the side of Impulse Ghosting, if they don't win the early, as you just said, they can rely on kind of that late game scaling Kai'Sa, but they don't want Kai'Sa to just get flat out destroyed, because if she goes out of lane 0-3 and never finds a chance to actually get into the game, simply due to those stats and simply due to it being so long until she picks up those items and really becomes a damage dealing champion, the likelihood is that she could be shut out of the game, but that's where you have that Nami to be that protection line to say, you know what, it's okay if we start to kind of fall back, we can hide under our turret, I'll just get those heals. And that's something to look for when it comes to Gnarly Gnar. If he hits level 6, his ability to dive the bottom lane with Daisy to absorb the turret is a big deal and something to keep your eyes on, because if the Kai'Sa and Nami, fairly squishy champions, especially early into the game, are shoved underneath their turret and Ivern comes in with the CC that the Morgana and the Sivir can bring in, plus that Daisy to absorb the turret, you could be looking at some potential dives. But I think Recon 5 have a different strategy in mind to start the game off as they group all 5 members headed towards the top side of the map.
Yeah, they're going to look for Rexalis up in the top lane here. They've done it many times before on both sides of the map. They're going to look to possibly get something onto the top laner here. They're making their way on over. Scrim walking first. Rexalis will now be spotted out. He don't think he was looking at his camera and now has to flash away. That is huge.
The respectful flash, he probably could have actually sidestepped it, but playing super safe, goes ahead and flashes. Recon 5 not going to be happy with that, though, continuing the invade, setting up some wards in the enemy team jungle, the bottom lane, going ahead and hitting that recall button, heading down there, make sure they weren't going to miss out on any CS. Your name just dashing away from the Kennen as he lightning rushed his way, kind of daring the Sylas to go in. So a little bit of a trade there. It's just a ward for a flash. Rexalis going to be down that. However, as a tanky Poppy, not terribly concerned. We'll see if Recon 5 can carry that forward, though, and actually use the fact that the flash is down for something other than it just coming off a cooldown for a short period of time.
Yeah, and you know, because they realized all members of Recon 5 are on the top side of the map, IG decided to take advantage of it and look for something here on the bot, or look for the wards on the bot side, but Swifty and Hero tried to look for something on the Paradox and Scrim, and they were able to turn it around. The Guardian keeping Scrim at a decent health. He does get taken down to about 75% HP, but still, with that Guardian and follow up with that bind was very well done. But now, as you can see, there's already pings coming out from IG at the moment on this Ivern. Because they were all on the top side, they put wards down there, and now are able to know where Gnarly is at all times when it comes to this bottom lane. And he is making his way to the top side. But that means that IG knows it. So this bot lane can play a little bit more aggressive if they like, or even just play back. And now that allows for your Nurse and Rexalis to make sure that they know where this jungler is at all times. And I keep on saying it's one of the biggest things to me when it comes to this game. Those junglers can make a huge difference in the early stages of the game, especially in this season. Because right now, in the season, the jungle gold isn't the greatest. And, oh, wait a minute, in the mid lane.
Hold on. Salazbin dropped under 200 health. Irelia dashes in, forces the flash, but this flash for flash. Sandillion coming out with first blood this game. Bit of a different look than last game where the mid lane was a bit passive. They went in fighting, and your Nurse falls off just a little bit too early as it's only level 2. Probably did not have the Kingslayer to be able to pick up that extra health in that mid lane. Loses out, TP's right back to the mid lane though.
Oh, now on the bot side, Bluxy may be looking for something. Gnarly is there by them, but probably not in the best spot. Now Scrim and Paradox are going to get collapsed together. Bind does land.
Paradox has a spell shield. We'll see if it's enough, and it is enough to actually get the Sivir out. Leveled that up. They maybe have been hoping that she went for the boomerangs instead, as Sandillion losing a lot of health in the mid lane. The Silas pressure coming right back in, saying, I'm not even concerned. Hold on. If you look at your Nurse, all right, what did he walk out of the base with? A corrupting potion. He dies. He TP's back into the mid lane, still sitting on just a corrupting potion. This guy is nuts.
Yeah, it's going to hurt him in the long run. Now, Sandillion does get low. Your Nurse is putting the pressure, but he's confident enough to put that pressure because he knows his jungler's around. Bluxy's around the corner, and Gnarly is there, but they decide they don't want to look for that fight in the mid lane because, you know, both teams are realizing there's a high chance that the jungler's on the opposite end, and it could become a 2v2 situation that could be really bad for Recon 5. So they're going to step on back, and like you said, the teleport coming back in from your Nurse and not getting anything. But now, once again, oh, Paradox!
Once again, the spell shield, man, this guy's got some fast fingers. They're going to find the binding onto the Elise, forcing out the repel. She's going to be backing away, but the TP coming in from the Irelia, seeing if she can help make out a play. We'll see if the flawless duet comes down. The stun going to land onto the Elise. She's already flashed. She has no escape. She's going to go down. Scrim picking up the second kill, for Recon 5. A bit of a different game than last game. Bottom lane doing much better with a great re-engagement by Irelia.
Yeah, Recon 5 with this passive lane and then being able to turn it around and be more aggressive has been showing so much more for Recon 5. And that's the one thing that I was missing for Recon 5 in the last game. They are such an early aggressive team that last game they were playing aggressive but not in the best way. And now because they have the double spell shield, once again, Bluxy not able to make a play. Hero, as you just saw with that bubble, not able to look for anything else on the Scrim because of the spell shield. And it's making it so difficult looking for anything. But now Tons is going to get stunned up. Rex was taking a lot of damage.
This is the Poppy falling in the top side. Turret Shock gonna just get a little bit of tickle off of Tonzo. The cannon still on the run. The Elise around the corner, but it is way too late for Bluxy to be trying to make a play on that top side. This is what we wanted to see out of Elise much earlier in the game. Don't focus the bottom lane. You're gonna get punished off the spell shields. It happened, and it's happened again and again. The cannon sneaks away with the recall, but now they engage onto the Ivern as he's trying to run away. Gnarly we'll see if he's able to escape the Elise right on his tail, but the TP coming in from the cannon back to the top side. He's gonna be refreshed. But your Nurse has already picked up the kill onto the Ivern that can continue to chase forward onto the cannon. Tonzo going to be able to escape. 3 members of Impulse ghosting up there as your Nurse was coming in. Rexalis also burning a TP to get back to the top side. And so this is a classic game number 2. Think about game 1, right? They played safe, they played steady till about the 10-15 minute mark and then slowly merged into some of those skirmishes. Well, game number 2, everyone is just all firing. TP's up, let's fight on the bot side. TP's up, let's fight on the top side. Let's keep up the action, keep up the pace. However, during that pace, Recon 5 is slowly eking out a little bit faster and a little bit better than Impulse ghosting.
Yeah, and Gnarly here, one thing to note, he did get those Moby boots early on, so now he's able to make his way across the map. In the mid lane, Sandillion putting a lot of damage onto your Nurse. He does steal the ultimate, maybe a skirmish. Bluxy on the opposite side. Gnarly making his way.
Throws out that Vanguard's edge, but she's going to have her own. However, she's stunned up with the cocoon. Bluxy is here, but there's no mana on this Elise. She has to repel to escape. That's Gnarly Now is getting a little bit of damage, but here comes through from the bottom side of the map. We'll see if the Dark Binding is going to land. It will miss, but your Nurse is so low. That health is ticking away. The Ignite comes down as well. She tries to go back in to get a little bit of health with the Kingslayer, but it's not enough, and he goes down. And it's actually Paradox who also roamed up to get the max range Boomerang to slice through him and claim a 4th kill for the side of Recon 5.
That is huge for Recon 5 because now they are spreading out the kills across their team. Instead of giving it to Sindelian, instead of giving it to Gnarly, they give it to their AD carry. Now you have 1 kill to the top, mid, and the bot laners, which is giving so much more of an advantage to them because if you get all of these carries ahead, it makes it so difficult for IG to look for any specific play across the map. And now the Infernal Dragon is up. Gnarly should be able to clear out this top side, make his way back on down. And you saw the amount of shield that was given from Guardian and Gnarly E. It was so much for Sindelian and kept him alive. And then one thing that really hurt Bluxy on that gank, in the middle, you said it, that mana. He didn't have any mana to follow up with any of his abilities, so he wasn't able to deal the damage that Sindelian was needed to be taken down. And it hurt IG in the end. And Sindelian keeps the pressure up. Your Nurse is now going to be stunned on up. Oh, in the bot lane, once again, a binds lands. But he's going to have to flash away.
Hero. Yeah, has to burn the flash. I think would have been able to walk away. I don't know if the Sivir has quite enough damage yet in the game with just a pickaxe to actually take the kill. But either way, playing safe with that flash away. But man, I just keep seeing this Sivir spell shielding those CC abilities that are coming in. And I got to say, Impulse Ghosting, they need to learn their lesson. They need to learn to burn that spell shield before trying to go in and make an engage. Otherwise, Paradox is going to run away with this game. Because so far, during pick and ban phase, Recon 5 has absolutely decimated Impulse Ghosting and being able to pick these spell shielding champions in the bottom lane that's working out so well for them.
Yeah, and now Tanzo, because he took the Kleptomancy, he's in a matchup where he's most likely not going to get a kill. He did early on get the kill because Rexalis does not have his items just yet to be able to sustain in the lane as much as we know. And so he was able to get taken down. But now at this point, he's tanky enough where he can just sit there, take his CS without a problem. But Tanzo wisely taking the Kleptomancy for himself will allow him to just keep the poke up and get more gold for himself so that later in the game, he becomes this massive threat. And now in the mid lane, once again, Sindelian just keeps the pressure up onto your Nurse because he knows the advantage he has. Your Nurse does have a lot of damage already, but the cooldowns are out.
Oh, the Vanguard's edge coming out from the Irelia. She's going to force the flash out of the Silas, so he has to run away. We'll see if he wants to grab someone's ultimate to try to make any sort of re-engagement. Something to note, though, is that so many of these laners are sitting around with a ton of gold. If you check over the gold tab, it is almost 2,000 gold sitting on this Sivir. Finally, the cannon is back on that top side with 1,700 gold. No, just kidding. He canceled his recall. He's going to be sticking around as the Ivern going to be called out in that mid lane, stolen away by the Silas. Not going to be able to do that much just to disengage the fight so that he can recall with his 1,000 gold that he's sitting on.
Yeah, now the Infernal Dragon is going to be the next focus for Recon 5. They have the advantage already. Paradox and Scrim can pressure up the waves. They don't have to worry about Swifty and Hero, and they should be able to take this Infernal Dragon. All members of IG just backed off except for the Poppy, and she doesn't have teleport, and I don't think she would use it anyways, especially going into 1v4. She's not strong enough. So, in the end, Recon 5 pick up a free Infernal for themselves, and there's no way for them to tell how low it is.
Bluxy's? Okay, yeah, Bluxy a little bit too late. Was kind of edging her way in, kind of checking out, saying, you know what, hi, I want to just see what's up, what's going on here. But the Infernal Drake goes over to Recon 5, so that's going to scale their Sivir that much more into the later stages of the game. They also have that Kennen and Ivern that will both enjoy the extra stats to their damage. And I gotta say, it's looking pretty rough for Impulse Ghosting. They need to find some factor to get themselves back into the game, because at the moment, the Poppy down 30 CS on the top side, the bottom side, Kaisa up 10 CS, but really hasn't been able to do anything to the Sivir, who's got a kill at this point, which, it kind of negates a lot of that CS lead. It's really this Silas in the mid lane that is doing the best for Impulse Ghosting at the moment.
Yeah, now there are pings here in the mid lane. They possibly look for something. Scrim is there. Both supports are actually making their way on up. And one thing to note about Tanzo is he is so good at pressuring the enemy to lose their CS while also keeping his up. And that is what makes so many top laners have trouble going against him. And right now he's showing it. That about 30 CS lead for himself is making it so difficult for Rexalis to even try to hold up with the gold to him. And very well played by him. But now in the mid lane, oh, your nurse almost gets stunned up. But now another fight's going to break out.
Silas getting a little bit of damage in, but that really is just weaving these auto attacks in left and right, dropping your nurse down, throws out the Vanguard's edge, the Kingslayer healing up your nurse a little bit. The Coon is going to miss as the dash from Irelia keeping her alive for the moment. However, she is going to be knocked by the Nami ultimate, but she is so incredibly squishy. Uses the Birkin stopwatch so incredibly early. Goodbye, hero. There's nothing that the Nami can do to get out. As Sindillion will chase the Nami down, making sushi for dinner. There's spiders that might be up next on the menu as they're going to try to step forward, get a little bit of damage down, take away some of these turret plates. There's Kennen coming around from the backside of the fight as they're going to see what they can do onto Bluxy, who's trying to defend the Cocoon, misses. The Elise uses the repel to stay alive for a moment longer as the TPs are coming in, both the Poppy as well as I believe that is the Silas coming back to that mid lane. However, Recon 5 is already back away, so a bunch of burn TPs, not going to do that much. Ooh, the Root Boomerang combo in this bottom lane, dropping Shrifty down to about half.
Yeah, and you know, this is making it even more difficult for your nurse in this mid lane. Sindillion playing this super well, but also with the buffed Wit's End a couple patches ago, he's now able to start the Wit's End, get the Merc Treads, and completely deny your nurse's damage early on, which means your nurse is not going to do much to Sindillion, probably at all, until that later end of the game. And it's just so helpful now to be able to scale into the later end. Your nurse now did steal away Morgana's ultimate. They may look for something here. But on the top side, you have Bluxy as well. And right now, like, just because we keep seeing the fights break out in the mid lane, it's just so hard for your nurse to try to do anything here. He just keeps getting pushed out. There's nothing really else to look for. And down here in the bot lane, because of how safe it's being played by Paradox and Scrim with that Morgana and Sivir, there is nothing Swifty and Hero can do at this very moment. So Recon 5 are just taking advantage of it every step of the way.
Yeah, and man, again and again, you see this Sivir Paradox spell shielding so much of the engage. Even the Silas coming down was considering trying to make a play, but didn't go all the way in on it because of there's so much shielding on that bottom side. And if you look at the CS, Kais is still in the lead, but again, as the game scales later, that's in favor of Recon 5 because they have that late game Sivir in their back pocket. The supercharge call by the Kaisa to this bottom lane. We'll see what they can do on the hunt, pop by Sivir. Make sure they can get out. However, Bluxy around the corner, going to see if he can be making a play with the Elise. Once again, repelling defensively, joining her teammate Swifty as they are able to get out for the moment. Irelia still considering stepping forward, the minion wave pushing into the turret. They found the route on the Elise as that is going to be danger. Bluxy dropping. Daisy going to be called as well. Scrim takes a turret shot for the trouble. However, again, Recon 5 continuing to sneak these kills. 7 kills to 1, a 4,000 gold lead. Looking very different than last game where they were very passive during the laning phase.
This is the Recon 5 that we wanted and we are now getting. We said this earlier. This team plays around that early game. That is their strong point. And finally, they are able to show it. And now Sindillion with 4 kills is unstoppable. Your nurse is so far behind, he is not able to get much for his team when it comes to damage. And, you know, he is keeping up CS with Sindillion at the very moment. But if they ever come to a point where your nurse and Sindillion are down on across the map and fighting like a 3v3 or a 2v2, it's going to go in the favor of R5. He has so much damage, and because of the damage coming from protective items, it doesn't allow your nurse to do anything. So right now, Recon 5, they have the advantage. What do they need to do next? You have Herald, you have Cloud Drake, and you still have first turret up. Right now, because it's going to be difficult to push out any lane except for maybe even the mid lane, their best bet is to look for that Herald or look for that Dragon. If they look for that Dragon, they'll be best. But now in the mid lane, he does get stunned up. Not going to have a follow-up there. But Sivir and Ivern are in the brush. They may look for something here in the mid lane, or they might go for this Dragon. If they go for this Dragon, it will allow for Recon 5 to roam around the map even faster. You already have Gnarly Gnar with the mobility boots, giving him the opportunity to make his way across the map into each individual lane, giving them advantages. And now with this Dragon, they should be able to slowly, over the course of this early game, take advantage of each objective. But oh, wait a minute, in the bot lane!
Killer Instinct from Kaisa flashes forward. One more auto attack will take down Paradox. There wasn't any vision in the brush and no wards available, but Shrifty just walks that one home. Catches Sivir out on a bad rotation back to the bottom lane turret. Great position to cover Vanguard's edge. Called to the top side. Kenny going up with the slicing Maelstrom. The Elise getting out for the moment. Uses the repel to get to the Rift Herald. The Silas is here. We'll see what he can do. He's turning onto the Morgana. The squishy Morgana. Go ahead and you're going a golden. The slicing Maelstrom from the Silas. Going to get a little bit of damage down. However, he's going to be CC forced to flash into the Rift Herald pit. The Elise Bluxy already gone. The rest of the team from Impulse Ghosting on the run, but dropping like flies as your nurse gets auto attack down. The chase in as Sandillion going a dominating 6-0. Scrim just baiting Rexalis into trying to make a play in the mid lane. However, the Poppy has to stay defensive, and that means with this play on that top side, the Kaisa was able to push in the bottom side and be able to secure the first turret of the game for Impulse Gaming. The Nami throws out the ultimate in the mid lane, just try to delay this first tier turret from going down. Rexalis can't find the stun onto the Irelia, down to about half how the turret is continuing to drop, but it's all just delaying as the Rift Herald off to the side lane. Then it's just off Daisy, moving in, trying to take tank up against the Ivern, who just continue to poke away. But the thing to keep in mind is that Rift Herald has not gone down just yet. Under 1,200 health. It should fall here shortly. Ivern able to secure it. And that mid lane turret still stands for Impulse Gaming.
Yeah, and now that they got the mid, or almost got the mid lane turret for Recon 5, they got the first turret for Impulse Ghosting. It should help them out, but here's the thing. Ivern has this Herald. The next opportunity for Recon 5 is that Herald. They picked up the Windrake, they picked up the Herald, they put so many more kills onto Sandillion, and you know, I will say this. A while back, Recon 5 Pretty Boy told us that Sandillion is going to pull out a champion that we don't expect, and he just messaged me saying, this is Sandillion's champ, Irelia, and we are seeing it here at first hand. But now in the top lane, Swifty going on to Tonzo, putting some damage, not to follow up, but hey, you know what? Thank you, Pretty Boy. We finally get to see it. The Sandillion Irelia is insane. And now on the bot side, Herald has been popped. They want to look for this bot side to open it up for their team, so then they can play around top side when Baron comes up, or when the next Dragon comes up, which Dragon should be sooner than Baron at this point. So, opening up the map even more will give them the advantage. The rest of IG making their way on over. Sandillion waiting in the brush, looking for something on the Bluxy, but nothing yet.
And that's the side from Impulse Ghosting. They are not making the initiating plays. They're trying to respond, but their response is just so incredibly slow. Shelly even getting a second charge off onto that second turret on the bot side, and with everyone rotating down there, the cannon split pushing on that top side, securing a third turret for Recon 5 and just bloating their gold. They are 5,000 gold in the lead, looking very different than last game and doing quite well. From the side of Impulse Ghosting, they need to start making some plays of their own. Otherwise, they will just continue to be shut out of this game.
Yeah, now Poppy putting the pressure on the bot side. Paradox has the wave clear to push out this mid lane. Sandillion there up on the top side. Your nurse is walking forward with the minion wave. Surprised Sandillion actually didn't go for it. He's waiting in the tri-bush now, walking forward. Your nurse going to put some damage onto him, but Sandillion's main focus is that CS to get himself even more gold in this game. And now the Baron is about to come up. And Recon 5 just took all Tier 1 turrets from IG, completely opening it up for them to make their way across the map. They have the Windrake. They can play in the part of the map that they want to. They can position themselves correctly. And you know, Tonzo doesn't have teleport right now, but if he keeps the pressure down here, they open up an opportunity for them to decide, which objective do we want? Do we want this Baron? Do we want this Dragon? And right now, because I feel like there's still lack of damage from the Sivir to look for that Baron play, Dragon is their main focus.
Well, and talking about that Sivir, right? She's only got that Essence Reaver to her name at the moment, where Kaisa has completed 2 full items, the Storm Razor as well as that Ginsu's Rage Blade. So Kaisa's actually in a pretty strong point at this point, even 20 CS lead over the Sivir. However, it needs to be able to have that front line of the Poppy there. She cannot engage without the tank of Rexalis. And as Rexalis is split pushing on the bottom side of the map, there could be a potential collapse around the Drake. Ivern and Sivir both still coming in. Irelia just recently seen on the top top side of the map. This might be a pick potential for Impulse Ghosting, but they are just playing it so incredibly slow, which is allowing Recon 5 to find those collapse. And now Scrim going to be in a little bit of trouble. Throws out the Soul Shackles, going to go ahead and go golden. Everyone's going to be able to sidestep. The Nami ultimate is good, allowing the Kaisa to go in and find the kill. However, the cannon has shown up. He can't get the Kaisa though, so she can step right back in to deal a little bit of damage. Ivern's pushing Nami off to the side, so Hero is out of the fight, but so is Daisy. Dark Saddles stunned up, going to be taken down. Paradox with the kill, a 10th kill for the side of Recon 5 as they just collapsed so well, using the TP of Sindillion to come in after the fight had already started.
Yeah, now R5 looking for this dragon, and Sindillion down here on the bot side. IG trying to take advantage of it.
Whoa, Sandillion dropping low, way too low, trying to distract for the rest of the team to claim the Ocean Drake, which they will, but that is a massive amount of shutdown gold that goes straight onto the Elise. Not the favorite, would have preferred to have it on the Sylas or the Kaisa, but it's still nice to have.
Yeah, definitely should have gone towards the Sylas or Kaisa, but like you said, better to have it on anyone than not having it at all. Ocean Dragon's going to go over to Recon 5. That's 3 dragons. You have one of each except for that mountain. They're just waiting for that mountain. But now the teleport's actually going to come in. Very aggressive play from him. Scrim is going to try to look for the bind. He's going to dodge, and now Paradox has to flash away. I don't think he has a shield. And, oh, the pin!
Poppy's gonna flash, get the stun. That is finally a catch onto the Sivir. Sylas gets the shutdown. That's what you want for the side of Impulse Ghosting. Now they can turn onto the Baron. We saw these fights last game. Didn't work out so well for the side of IG. We'll see if they can do it this time as Ivern is still up, is still around the corner. The TP for the Kenman coming in. He's got Slicing Maelstrom as well. This Baron is dropping, but not dropping fast enough as Tonzo's around the corner. He could flash into the pit with the full 5-man ultimate as Your Nurse is doing what he can to keep the Ivern from coming into the pit. There it is, the cannon going in. Will also secure the Baron. That's 2 kills. Make it a triple kill. Rexala is going to fall as well. The Aurelia picks up that one. And the side of Impulse Ghosting is completely decimated. Your Nurse barely able to escape with 200 health at the moment, but Scrim is going to continue to chase in. The Dark Binding not going to land. Sylas still on the run. Finds a slow. Wants to get to the Blast Cone. The Ignite coming down by Your Nurse. Will get shielded up. He's able to escape for the moment as the top lane second tier turret is the target with the Baron buff on 4 members of Recon 5.
Tonzo with the amazing play. He realizes, look at me, I'm Kennen. I can do this. Jumps on in with the Slicing Maelstrom and is able to pick up the Baron, a kill for himself, and stays alive. And then the rest of IG just tries to run away. Bluxy did try to look for something there. The bind is going to miss onto him, but that is 5, I believe 4 or 5 members did not get on the Paradox, but that is still 4 members with this Baron buff for Recon 5. You thought IG was going to be able to get back into this game. They got the kill in the Paradox, and then their main goal was that Baron, and they did not get it. And Recon 5 pushing their lead even more, pushing down IG, saying, we want game 3.
And this is 2 games in a row where Impulse Ghosting has tried to make a crazy early Baron call, and it has not worked out for them. If they survive this game, well, they will be playing in game number 3, even if Recon 5 win it. But we want to see them make better choices. They need to do their homework. They need to set up for the Baron play. Make sure that the ultimates, like that Cannon Slicing Maelstrom, isn't available. Whether he's dead or on the opposite side of the map, it doesn't matter. He cannot be allowed to just walk into the Baron pit onto 4 members. An absolutely massive play by Tonzo, and we'll see if Impulse Ghosting can find something to get back into this game, because at the moment they seem to be completely shut out with a 9,000 gold lead at the moment for Recon 5.
Yeah, and that was almost like probably their one chance of getting back into this game, or about the mid game, I should say. And they lost it, and because of it, it's really hurting them. And now IG, all they can do is just try to clear out the waves. And you know, one thing that's making it even more difficult, they don't have the best wave clear. You have Swifty who can try to auto the minions, but those are Baron minions, and you don't have anybody to wave clear, which means Recon 5 can just allow the Baron minions to keep on pushing forward and not have a problem with it. And you know, with Gnarly Gnar, he's playing the Ivern. He has the protection with those the bushes. So he's able to he lines it across, allowing for his team to sit in it and not allow for IG to know where they are. And because of that, it's hurting IG to know where to place their allies at the very moment. They may look for an engage here. Turret's going to be taken very low. Baron minions are focused. Raxalis is in.
Well, the turret is gone. Rexalis able to walk away for the moment as Recon 5 not interested in so much the kills. They're looking for instead the inhibitor. Oh, Aurelia trying to make a play. Goes in, throws out the Vanguard's edge, dropping Rexalis low. However, the redemption heal. Gonna keep the side of Impulse ghosting alive for a moment as at least on the outside of the fight drops down. Inhibitor 1 and 2 gonna fall at the same time as Recon 5 have decimated this game. They might even be looking for the finish right here as one Nexus turret is going to fall. We'll see if the team fight will be in their hands as Rexalis is still alive, fairly tanky, but only has 5.5. Oh! Look at the slicing maelstrom. 2 people down. The flash from Nami, the support, keeps Hero alive. Might not even be long enough as there she goes falling. Kennen just making all of the plays. Tonzo and Cedillion saying this game is going to be in Recon 5's favor. We are not going to go down 0-2. We are winning game 2.
What? Both of these games ended insane. You had game number 1. You had the Aatrox splitting to end. He teleported, got a double kill, and then was able to end game number 1. Game number 2, you had the lead from R5, and IG almost got the Baron, but then Tonzo with a beautiful slicing maelstrom changes the game back in their favor once again. It was looking slim. IG was trying to get back in it, and then they lost it. And now in the end, you saw, once again, another ultimate from Tonzo after that pick that Recon 5 got, allowed them to push and end this game. We're going into game number 3, ladies and gentlemen.
That is so incredibly exciting, and some of this feels like it is around the picks and bans. Look at this game, right? The pocket pick from Cedillion, the Irelia working out so incredibly well. 7-1 and 5 the scoreline at the end of the game. The Kennen for Tonzo on that top side. I really want to see these champion pools banned away in game number 3, or at least have some type of response to them, because the Poppy, the Sylas did not work out so well. And more critically, for the side of Impulse ghosting, if they want to win game 3, they have to get a really good champion on Swifty and get this guy ahead. Because so far, game 1 and game 2, he's been a very solid champion. He had the highest CS in game number 2, even of the winning team. Excuse me, almost the highest CS is actually Kennen, snuck in with about 8 CS over this Kaisa. But for the losing side, the entire game long, to be within 8 CS of the highest CS in the game is huge for Swifty. He's an incredibly good AD player. With all the ADCs banned away in game 1, he still found success on the ADC that he got. You really need to just give this guy his favorite ADC champion and then play around the bottom lane. It worked well in game 1. Maybe Impulse ghosting can pull it off in game number 3. We'll have to see.
Yeah, and now this will be the final game of the evening for this series. Impulse ghosting, Recon 5, both have shown their dominant forces in this series. But who is going to pick up game number 3 and go on to the finals against LSG? We're all super excited for this matchup, but we have to give the team some time to talk it out, converse with their coaches, and get themselves ready for game number 3. So we'll be back in about 5 minutes. Stay tuned, ladies and gentlemen. This series is insane.
Welcome to the world, no heroes and villains. Welcome to the war, we've only begun. So pick up your weapon and face it. There's blood on the ground, go and take it. You get one shot to make it out alive. So higher and higher you chase it. It's deep in your bones, go and take it. This is your moment. Now is your time, so prove yourself and rise, rise. Make them remember you. Push through heaven. Rise, rise. They will remember you. Welcome to the climb up, reach for the summit. Visions brave, the one false step lead the end. among the dead beneath the dirt. Or do you know yet? Or do you want it? And when the giants call to ask you what you're worth, or do you know yet? We don't doubt you. Prove yourself and rise, rise. Make them remember you. Push through and rise, rise. They will remember you. Prove yourself and rise, rise. Pick up your weapon and face it.
Yeah, I'm gonna take my horse to the old town road. I'm gonna ride till I can't no more. I'm gonna take my horse to the old town road. I'm gonna ride till I can't no more. I got the horses in the bag, horse stock is attached. Head is matted black, got the bushes black to match. Riding on a horse, ha, you can whip your Porsche. I've been in the valley, you ain't been up off that porch. Now, can't nobody tell me nothing. You can't tell me nothing. Can't nobody tell me nothing. You can't tell me nothing. Riding on a tractor, lean all in my blood. Cheated on my baby, you can go and ask her. My life is a movie, bull riding in boots. Cowboy hat from Gucci, Wrangler on my booty. Can't nobody tell me nothing. You can't tell me nothing. Can't nobody tell me nothing. You can't tell me nothing.
All right, we're back in it. Game number 3 is what we're setting our eyes on here. IG versus Recon 5. This game determines who is going to face LSG in the finals of the Champions League.
Now, something to keep in mind, Lakeside Gaming, the champions, or at least so far, they are into the finals. They went 2-0 in their series on yesterday it was. And so obviously a very strong showing there. So we need one of these teams to show up massive in this game. Give us a game that we can bite our teeth into and say they have a chance against Lakeside Gaming, because so far game 1 very close between the two. Game 2, Recon 5 coming out strong, get that snowball rolling and never let go of the game. The one chance Impulse Ghosting had around that early game Baron, they lost, and they continue to make these poor calls on a very early Baron call. We'll see if that happens in this game, as we're already into picks and bans, as Recon 5 once again on the blue side, taking away the Aatrox, the Nautilus, and the Lysandra. We're seeing the Irelia banned away by Impulse Ghosting, so they finally say, you know what, we're not going to let you have that. We saw the power of it in game number 2. We're going to take it away. However, Kennen is still up and available if Recon 5 want to toss that back onto Tonzo that was so fantastic on that. Impulse Ghosting, however, are able to get their hands on the Braum that helped them in game... No, hold on. That was actually on Recon 5's side in game number 1. Excuse me.
Yeah, and you know, one thing I'm surprised about, Impulse, they saw how strong they played with that Galio, and then they picked the Braum themselves right away. I'm surprised that they decided not to go with banning out the Galio, but at the same time, you've seen how strong Sindillion and Tonzo are. You have to 100% of the time, ban them out.
Oh, and I like the idea from Impulse Ghosting. They're on the red side, so they get to pick a little bit earlier, at least more champions earlier, and they say, you know what, we're at least going to break up the potential of the spell shields in the bottom lane by banning the Morgana and then picking the Sivir. So we know that you can't get these spell shielding champions in the bottom lane. The Caitlyn are going to be picked up by Recon 5. What they have favored so far for most of these games has been a bit of a sieging, poking bottom lane, that as you kind of take over the bottom lane, or at least go even, when they transition out of that, they start to win some of those team fights, they can poke down those turrets. The Zoe in game 1 did exactly that. Game number 2, they had the Sivir Morgana. They could land a couple of those picks, and then Sivir could just poke with those boomerangs. Caitlyn just as good. However, Pyke look at it a little bit differently. That support needing to go super aggressive, in theory, can be lane swap to top lane, but typically speaking, that's not what most teams do, as the Jarvan is locked in for Impulse Ghosting for a finally different look into the jungle.
Yeah, and you know, we've seen many times before, Recon 5, they have that early game lead, and that's what we wanted to see. And now, you know, what I'm also noticing is that Recon 5 is going back to why they are number 1 in this league. They are going back to the very aggressive early game champs, and you don't see Pyke very much at all. But here's the thing, Morgana has been banned out, Braum is the pick. That means Pyke is 100% a good pick for Recon 5.
He's so incredibly strong. That ultimate, so nice, being able to execute people, as well as the roaming potential. That's what we've seen a lot from actually both teams so far this series, is teams that like to make those roams, like to bring champions in from the bottom lane to that mid lane, or have that roaming mid laner. And that's what we want to see in this game 3 for Impulse Ghosting. The Lysandra worked out well for them in game number 1. The Sylas could not leave mid lane because of Irelia's wave clear. He was constantly forced to stay around there, make sure that turret held steady, and Irelia just decimated that mid lane. We'll see if Impulse Ghosting can finally get themselves a champion like, oh, there it is, the Ahri. All right, the Ahri that has the ability to clear the wave super quickly, 1Q in the later stage with enough damage. You wipe out that mid lane, and now you can look for another potential roam. You've got the charms, you've got massive mobility with that ultimate. There's so much that Ahri can do, though it's not considered a super meta pick at the moment.
Yeah, and now Impulse Ghosting have the opportunity to pick their top lane champion. But one thing to note, Recon 5 now know that the top lane champion is the last one left for Impulse, and so Recon 5 can kind of step back and try to determine what they want to go for. If they want to have Sylas go top and maybe try to counter Ahri instead, or they'd send Sylas mid lane for more possible, maybe a comfort pick for him. But we don't see the Jace very often here, but you know, every time he gets picked up in the professional leagues, he does really, really well. But, you know, I gotta be honest, in this league, hasn't been showing up to be the greatest, so I'm really hoping Sindillion or Tonzo is gonna be able to pull this off.
Yeah, it's very likely for Tonzo. Jace, a really good split pusher just because of the attack speed that he can have. However, I'm a bit nervous considering the Sejuani being the only frontliner. And there we go. Urgot for the side of Impulse Ghosting. A very, very strong, not only laner, he can also be a mid-game tank. He can also get that ultimate to execute people. And when you're looking at squishier members like the Pyke, like the Caitlyn, even considering a Jace, generally speaking, doesn't build that much tanky stats, and he's not going to be a super healthy champion, you just have to get them inside of that execute range, and Urgot is just going to draw them in and grind them up, eat them, and try to just turn around those fights. So for Impulse Ghosting, I think they overall did well in the pick ban phase. I'm a bit nervous about the Jarvan though, simply because he's one of those champions that can very easily over-engage, can get a little bit too deep, but he has to actually go forward. You're not using the champion correctly if you're not flag and dragging in, trying to land those cataclysms. And in game number 2, the passivity from Impulse Gaming is something that seriously hurt them because they never tried to make any plays of their own. They often were reacting to the pressure from Recon 5, and that meant that they were late to a lot of fights. They didn't have as many people as Recon 5 did. They were usually getting kills, and then the side of Impulse Ghosting just had to back away and had to leave the scene of the crime. So this game, I want to see Jarvan confident and saying, you know what, let me try to make those plays. But again, like game 1, tempered aggression. Look for the right time to go in with that flag and drag combination. Find good picks with that, but don't go tower diving at level 3. That's just a bad idea.
Yeah, for sure. And with the way Impulse drafted, to me, it really looks like a lot of pressure is going to be put on this mid lane. They really want to focus on the Sylas and give Ahri the advantage. You have the Jarvan already, and with the way they have it, you have so much pick potential. I think you just said that. Impulse has so much pick potential to them. So Jarvan, Ahri, Urgot, Urgot when he hits level 6, it becomes devastating for Recon 5 in the early stages of this game because that early pick potential can go against that early aggression that Recon 5 has. So right now, Recon 5, in my opinion, needs to look for that bot lane. You have Pyke against a Braum, and you also have the Sejuani to go with the Pyke as well. So you're not going to get too much off of the top side. Jace does seem like he can handle his own against an Urgot. And Sylas, you may want to stay around the mid lane just in case, because I feel like Jarvan's going to be around there a fair amount. But in total, Sejuani, if she can get Caitlyn ahead, get Pyke the kills on his execution, they should be able to slowly secure this game for themselves. Because I gotta say, last time I've seen Paradox on the Caitlyn and the last time I saw Scrim on the Pyke, they were insane.
Well, that's where for the side of Impulse Ghosting, I'd like to see that Jarvan focus on the bottom lane. The Caitlyn and the Pyke, both fairly squishy champions. You're not looking at something tanky like a Galio. You're not looking at someone with incredible CC. All you have are those Caitlyn Yordle snap traps as well as the Pyke E to try to land that stun. It's not a ton of CC. Jarvan, if he's able to find those roams and positions like we saw in game number 2, the Elise positioning was fantastic, continuously coming in from behind. However, the problem was those spell shields that Sipper and Morgana both had negated those engages by at least 3 times, I think, before we even hit the 14-minute mark of the game. Jarvan, a little bit easier to be able to do that. Even if you get hit by the Yordle snap trap, you can still land an EQ combo. So I want to see him heading towards that bottom lane, trying to poke onto those squishier champions of that Pyke and the Caitlyn. But again, as you just mentioned, with the Sejuani also potentially focusing heavily on this bottom side, it's going to be all about tracking those junglers. Whether you're trying to respond to a jungler with a counter gank, or you're just trying to make a play with the junglers on the opposite side of the map, having information on where the enemy team's jungler is going to be critical this game when it comes to trying to get these lanes ahead.
Yeah, and one thing that I really like about the Sejuani with this team comp is because Jace can be ranged, but he can also be melee, which means Recon 5 has an advantage with the Sejuani in every single lane. She has the ability to stack her passive onto the Jace as soon as he goes into melee form. Pyke, Sylas, both melee champions. That is an easy gank for both of them. Or all 3 of them, I should say.
Exactly. Now, something to note with Impulse Ghosting picking up this Braum. In game number 1, it actually really helped Recon 5 in that bottom lane hold on because of so many ganks coming out of Bluxy towards that bottom side of the map. It's very, very good at being able to deal with so much range coming in with the Unbreakable, and innately is fairly tanky. However, there's only the Caitlyn that's going to be poking, and something that Pyke can do is, if he's using his Bone Skewer effectively, can basically pull Braum past the Caitlyn or himself as he's trying to make it engage onto the Sivir. So that said, the pick and ban phase went very well for Impulse Ghosting because Sivir can deal with herself pretty well with that spell shield, but it is going to come down to the positioning of the Caitlyn, of Paradox, who overall so far has done a very good job in the series with that positioning to be able to position around the Unbreakable from that Braum, because to be fair, you're probably not going to kill Braum, and even if you do, it's not going to mean that much. You got to shut down the ADC. Swifty, do not let this guy get ahead, because he can definitely be a carry for Impulse game. Ghosting, excuse me.
Yeah, for sure. And well, Impulse Gaming, Impulse Ghosting, either way, it works. But just for these teams, looking at these compositions, Recon 5 play the early game. They play that aggressive lane, and they have the advantage with their team comp. Very, very well played for the early and mid game. But then coming into the later end of the game, Impulse Ghosting is looking really good. You have the Urgot, you have the Jarvan, and then you have the follow-up with the Sivir, Braum, and Ahri as well, who can pick people off. So, I was going to say something else, but I am actually at the moment just going to send us off to a quick intermission. We had a little bit of trouble, I guess, with the teams. They were trying to get themselves in. They took a little bit of a break at the wrong time. So right now, we're still about 4 minutes out before this game gets going. So we're actually going to set ourselves in the intermission, not really intermission phase. We'll still have the pick and ban phase showing, but we're going to have our mics off just for a moment so that we can take a breather before this game number 3 and allow you guys to just sit and wait. Sorry, we don't mean to make you sit and wait, but at the very moment, because of some mishaps that we had, we have to. And so right now we're going to take one small break. Stay tuned. right, we're going to have to step in a little bit early before the game actually kicks us into gear. But now, ladies and gentlemen, game number 3 between IG and R5. Who is going to take this home? Who is going to go on to the finals to take on LSG for the best of 5 series? I'm excited for this game number 3. Both game number 1 and game number 2 were so intense. This game number 3, I hope it's a close one.
Oh yeah, I'm hoping for just a solid game. When it comes down to best of 3s and you get to the final game, it's the Silver Scrapes moment. Teams have to pick every single moment to try to find an advantage for the team, because it's basically a best of 1. If you lose this, you are out. You've got to play the absolute top tier that you can to find your victory in this game. And we'll see what these teams can do. For Recon 5, they had that 5-man invade that worked out well for them last game, fitting a small advantage on that top side. Rexalis, I hope, is ready for that in game number 3, able to position well to make sure that he doesn't lose that flash super early on again. And we're straight into a pause, because it wouldn't be an NA game without a pause.
Yeah, you're so right. With the LCS, with any team, any amateur league that you watch, any game in general that you watch that has the ability to pause in North America, we tend to pause. It's just a thing that we do, and I'm not specifically sure what's happening. I think there's a little bit of a bug going on with Rexalis or one of his team members. But, all right. So, we saw the team comps. We talked about the way this game is going to go. Now, we talked about a little bit about how the early game should go. What about this late game? Because these teams are getting to around 30 minutes, 35 minutes, and the games are becoming kind of a flip-flop.
Right. One of the things is, for the side of Impulse Ghosting, you've got yourself a Sivir. That's basically late game super strong champion. As long as your positioning is good, because she doesn't have the highest mobility, her crits are going to be bouncing through an entire team, destroying them. However, the team from the side of Recon 5, they still have incredibly good pick potential. They've got the Sejuani that is able to lock people down with that Glacial Prison. You also have Pyke. Something to keep your eyes on is the fact that Scrim on this Pyke can find people to jump on. He's going to have massive mobility and good damage as well. So for both of them, Impulse Ghosting is going to be critical for them to protect the carries. They can do that. They have the Urgot, they have the Braum. They're able to do that. Go ahead.
Yeah, I'm sorry to cut you off. I'm going to need you to leave that spectate, because this is actually going to become a remake. So
fancy.
It seems like there was a little bit of trouble with the a bug splat and the client for one of the players of IG. So we have to step away from the game and have to restart the custom match. The game should commence in about 3 to 4 minutes, or maybe even 5. Teams are going to get themselves set up, and they should just throw themselves right into the game. No worry about pick and ban. They already have the picks, so they can just scroll it on down, get through it, get all their stuff ready to go. But you know, here's the thing. This is the first time it's not scuffed on our part. It's scuffed on Riot's part. This is not our fault.
Riot is an indie game. They only have, or indie company, excuse me. They only have one game, guys. We got to give them credit for how successful their one game has been. Obviously, their client still has a couple bugs that have to be worked out. I'm sure that their, 3 coding guys are right onto the bug that caused this bug splat, and they're going to fix it up for us, no problem, because this is the most important series happening in League of Legends right now. So obviously they're just going to be right on top of that. But while we wait, we want to hear from you guys in the Twitch chat. If you're still here hanging out, which there is a bunch of you, you got to let us know. Recon 5 or Impulse Ghosting, which team do you think is going to win? Because so far Recon 5 showed up strong game 2, but Impulse Ghosting showed a steadfastness in game 1 they could definitely pull out in game number 3.
Yeah, and I'm looking at it and reading on what's happening right now. One of the things that happened last time when I was watching a scrim was there was a bug with the game where even if everybody left, there was a problem with them actually being able to finish the game. So the last time we had it, we just had to wait for the players to connect and then push the game out themselves. So not specifically sure what's going to happen. We may have to sadly go into intermission and try to wait it out. So yeah, that's actually what we're going to do right now. Because we are still trying to figure out what's going on, we're just going to set ourselves an intermission. The clock is not going to be going, but we're very sorry. We're trying to fix it as fast as possible, but the bug splat is still an issue with, I guess, Riot Games, and they still can't figure it out. So hopefully they can fix it, and we'll... Go ahead.
It should be. I was going to jump in and say I've dealt with this issue before in games that I've done some spectating on and stuff. When the issue happens, one team can join in, hard push down mid. Just to give you guys an estimation, it should take about 4 to 5 minutes with hard shoving to get that game to be completed and reset completely. So the break should not be all that long.
Yeah, and we'll get right back into it as soon as the teams are back into the game, so specifically not just going back into the client and starting a custom match. So it may be about 6 to 7 just because of the pick and ban, but then added on with the 5 minutes from them trying to push out the lane. So thank you all for holding on and watching. We will get into game number 3 very soon. Please keep the hype. It is still an intense series, and we're ready to go, all right?
We could just dance. We could be the entertainment for the stream, you know?
Ooh.
Do something. Turn on some cool music. No, I'm kidding. Let's go to intermission.
Yeah, let's go to intermission.
Yeah, I'm gonna take my horse to the old town road. I'm gonna ride till I can't no more. I'm gonna take my horse to the old town road. I'm gonna ride till I can't no more. I got the horses in the bag, horse stock is attached. Head is matted black, got the bushes black to match. Riding on a horse, ha, you can whip your Porsche. I've been in the valley, you ain't been up off that porch now. Can't nobody tell me nothing. You can't tell me nothing. Can't nobody tell me nothing. You can't tell me nothing. Riding on a tractor, lean all in my blood. Cheated on my baby, you can go and ask her. My life is a movie, bull riding in boots. Cowboy hat from Gucci, Wrangler on my booty. Can't nobody tell me nothing. You can't tell me nothing. Can't nobody tell me nothing. You can't tell me nothing.
All right, well, I guess I was just told by someone that they're actually going to just stick out with the game. I think the Riot bug has passed, and now the teams are able to go head-to-head at this very moment. I want to make sure my caster over here is able to hear me. Jake, you still there?
I can hear you. I'm trying to figure out how to get into the game now, so I'm trying to track you down. And, I should be able to spectate the game that you're spectating. This is my hope. I think we may have been able to work that out. I found you in the friends list. Thank goodness we actually friended rather than just being randomly invited. And that allowed me to spectate the game that you're spectating. So I will use the Twitch to make sure that my timing is correct with you as I'm loading in a little bit later than you are. But we should be good.
Yeah, there still is a pause, though. They still have the pause going.
Okay.
So I'm not specifically sure. Still trying to get information from Kiba at this moment and some of the admin for this game. It does seem like we're still waiting on the game to get started and having some trouble with the client itself.
Right. So while we're waiting, let's do what casters do best and make bold predictions. If you had to pick a team to win this just off of the plays that we've already seen and the team compositions, who would you pick to actually win this game 3 of this best of 3 series?
You know, I gotta give it to Impulse. I like the way they had game one. They played it really well. There was moments where it was kind of like a back and forth. R5 had the lead, IG had the lead, but at the same time, last game to me seemed a lot like the pressure was completely open for Recon 5 when Sindillion was able to get a bunch of kills for himself and then turn the game around in their favor. So, to me, if Sindillion can get back ahead in this game and do what he did last game, they should have no problem finishing off this game and winning it to go on to the finals. But my bold prediction here, Akash is reconnected. My bold prediction here is that IG will be able to take this home with the way they played game one.
It's going to be tough for them to do that, but I'm excited. And one of the things that I would like to see from them in that regard is the fact that game one, obviously it's game one of a best of three series, so you're a little bit nervous. Both teams may have been a little bit kind of getting those jitteries out. Game two, Recon 5 looked a lot more comfortable. They looked like they were home. They were on champions that they felt good on, and they were able to make the plays that they felt good about. This time, though, they're on some different champions, so it gives IG a chance to actually do what they did in game number one. But if you think back to game number one, even then, that game was on a knife's edge for almost all of it. To the 40-minute mark, we were within 1,000 gold difference between the two teams. And just because of that, and Recon 5 coming into game number two feeling so comfortable, I actually give the favor to Recon 5. They also have a composition that's a little bit easier to pull off. You look at the Sejuani, she throws out that ultimate. She can choose whether to make a play with it or not. You look at Silas, his slipperiness and abilities to steal away the ultimate from so many of the champions of Impulse ghosting. The Urgot ultimate. Yo, what? That Ari's trying to escape? Let me just steal Urgot's ult and grind her down. Let me steal away the Jarvan ult and Cataclysm this side of Impulse ghosting. There's so much potential there. So I actually favor Recon 5 a little bit in this game 3.
All right. With that being said, people in the chat, people watching, who do you think is correct on this one? Do you think Jake is correct with R5? Or do you think Zonite is correct with IG? Who's going to take home this game number 3 and go on to the finals to face LSG? And now, IG looking for something here in the jungle. Not able to land. Dangerous.
IG was trying to make a play like we saw out of Recon 5 towards this bottom side of the map. However, they weren't able to make and collapse on anything in time. Good positioning out of Paradox to make sure they had vision on that. And see, I've done the sneaky thing, right? A true analyst, covers all grounds. Before the games began, if you were to scroll back to the very first messages of the stream, I said that I predicted IG to win 2-1, right? So if IG win, I can say, what? I knew it without even being a part of the stream yet. I knew that IG were going to win. However, just now I predicted Recon 5 to win. That way, if they do, I can say, well, obviously, I guessed blind at the beginning, had no clue what I was talking about. Of course, Recon 5 was going to win. Better analysis here. So either way, I've got my bases covered.
This man going either way. He's showing off early on. IG, we got this. They're going to win. Later on, he's realizing and sees the Recon 5 play. He's like, oh, Recon 5 is going to win. So, hey, you know what? Either way, if you choose either team in the chat, you're on Jake's side. But if you choose IG, you're with me as well. So who are you going to be with? Are you going to be with both of us, or you just be with Jake? Because I don't want to be lonely. I don't want to be.
You get twice as much Zonite, right? That's the best.
Well, no, it's twice as much. Okay, I don't.
Oh, yeah. No worries. Let's talk about this game in particular. As we saw the junglers starting on the red side each of the maps, so we potentially could see some vertical jungling, but that might not be the case as Sejuani's headed towards the bottom side and Jarvan's headed straight towards his blue buff. We'll see what he decides to do after picking up those double buffs. Could roam to the bottom side of the map. With that Jace on that top side, though, I want to see him start aggressively poking Urgot down. Don't give Urgot time to actually get that farm, as though the Pike trying to make a play on the bottom side. Flash just to get the two-man taunt. They're moving on to Swifty. The positioning of Braum good to basically stop all of the auto attacks from the Caitlyn. He's going to get the stun as well. Caitlyn forced to flash and heal. The Ignite's ticking down. Both ADCs with blinking health bars, but neither of them going to fall for first blood just yet.
Yeah, and that is huge for IG because now Paradox is really low and IG still have the flash on the Braum. All 4 summoner spells have been used by Recon 5 and they almost got the play that they wanted, But Swifty, right at the last second, I don't know if you saw it, he hit level 2, got some health back for himself, was able to flash away, and they weren't able to follow up with anything else. They do have the field now, and Hero's going to get pulled on forward, but it's not going to have the trap come on down fast enough. And
it was such a good move by Hero. Throws that Unbreakable, make sure there's no way that Sneaky, or that that's what I refer to as the Pizza Siver skin, gets dragged in with that Bone Skewer. Very good positioning by Hero. We'll see if he can keep that up, though.
Yeah, now Sejuani is placing herself on the top side of the map, so I would not be surprised to see if they look for something in the mid lane. Your Nurse is kind of even with Sindillion right now. The shield did block Scrim's pull, but your Nurse is kind of pushed up. They may look for something there, but actually, Gnarly Gnar's making his way up to the top side and should be able to take some CS from Bluxy here. And, I thought there was going to be a pretty early gank, like 3-minute gank almost from Bluxy or Gnarly Gnar, and I didn't expect it to be this far back, but in the end, they still, both of these junglers, and the next couple of minutes should be able to make a play without a problem at all.
Well, you can make a play on these junglers, but the great thing about is that they don't have to make a play in the early game. Most of the leading phase so far has been fairly even for both teams, and the junglers definitely prefer to hit that level 6, both for the guaranteed lockdown of the Sejuani ultimate or the AoE lockdown of the Jarvan's Cataclysm. So it's nice to hit that level 6 as Gnarly Gnar coming to the top side, looking for the Urgot, gonna board rush him into the wall. Rex Salas had full health, but he's gonna be dropping very low under that 200 mark. The Jace poking him down, and there's the Q, finishing off for first blood, but J4 gonna turn around immediately and make them pay in the mid lane, giving a kill over to your Nurse, dropping that Silas. So a 1-for-1 trade, just seconds, giving first blood to the side of Recon 5.
Yeah, Rex Salas almost got out there, but Tonzo with a beautiful combo there was able to finish him off, get first blood for Recon 5, and then like you said, Bluxy going to the mid lane, turning around and getting a kill for your Nurse. One thing to note, your Nurse and Bluxy both had to use Flash for that play. Sindillion did not. He did use Teleport to get back in the lane here so that he can control the wave better. Soon, because Sindillion has Flash and Gnarly Gnar has Flash as well, they should be able to make a play pretty easily in this mid lane. And if they do, they get Sindillion ahead, they shove the wave, and then have Paradox and Scrim, who is the aggressive lane right now, maybe make a play for this Infernal, or maybe wait a little bit longer, have Gnarly Gnar gank the mid lane, make their way over, and do a 4-man gank bot lane instead with the advantage that they gain from Sindillion going on to your Nurse.
Yeah, that's the thing from Impulse Ghosting. Every member besides the Braum has Flash down, which means it's Gnarly Gnar's pick of the litter. What lane does he want to go to try to find another kill? Now is the time to do that. You don't need to be picking up too much farm in the jungle because those flashes are down. You can make those return plays. The mid lane, top lane obviously favored because you have your flashes up and available. However, even the Caitlyn on the bottom side is going to have heal up in just a little bit. So an excellent opportunity to try to make a play. And as you said, it's an Infernal Drake to start this game off with, so you're looking at some pretty crazy action that's only going to get crazier with that Drake on the map. J4 on the top side might have been looking for the Scuttle Crab. It is already gone, so he's headed towards that mid lane.
Yeah, and he's just making sure if he can get vision on that Scuttle, then he'll know where that Scuttle is going to be for the rest of the game. Scrim with a nice hook onto Hero. They're going to get locked down for a little bit, but that shield is going to soak up so much damage for him, and Swifty is going to return with so much damage. Oh my goodness!
What an amazing Q by that Braum. Winter's Bite sneaks through the minion wave just to tag that last 4th hit onto Paradox, chunking him down a little bit more, and Hero's doing exactly what he needs to do. Absorbing the pressure, absorbing the damage, allowing Swifty to just free reign in this bottom lane. 10 CS lead over the Caitlyn as we see another play towards that top side. Rex Salas stuck underneath the turret. The Sejuani gonna start up the turret shots. No, Jace is actually the one tanking, which means that he's gonna have to flash away from the turret, but they can secure themselves a bunch of plays as they have dropped the Urgot a second time in that top lane.
Yeah, and that's 2 kills to a Jace early on, which is devastating for IG at this very moment. And also, like you said, they can get a couple plates for themselves, which means even more gold into the hands of Tonzo and Gnarly Gnar, giving them the advantage. But because they realize on the top side, Gnarly Gnar is still up there, Bluxy in the bot lane, they have the aggression, they take the Infernal Dragon for himself. So out of what they could have done, IG's best move was that Infernal, and it was very wise for them to pick that up.
Yeah, it's one of those kind of late game ability or dragons. In the early game, doesn't help that much, but again, they also have that sliver towards the late game, so it's going to be pretty impactful if they can get to that 25-30 minutes in point. There is a Wind Drake to follow up. We'll see if either team rush that one down. I don't expect it to be quite as high priority considering it is just a Wind Drake, but its ability to move around the map, make some roams, which both teams have kind of leaned into a little bit throughout this series, is pretty powerful. So we'll see what they decide to do with that. We've got some ultimates up in the mid lane. We'll see how they decide to use them.
Yeah, we have some pings as well. Gnarly looking maybe for the mid lane. The ward is out, so they know where he is. Your Nurse playing on the opposite end, so he plays more in a safer place. Sindillion doesn't have the map.
The pop coming through. Hold on, Sundari just gonna be burned down. The damage from your Nurse uses the ultimate to get just in range with the Foxfire. The last of Ahri's mana dropped that ignite as well as he was greeting for that last minion, and Sandillion will fall.
Very well done by your Nurse there. He realized Sandillion has no mana. He can't get the shield for himself, so he jumps on forward, gets the amount of damage that he needs, and takes him down. That is 2 kills for the mid laner of IG. So IG having your Nurse be the strong point and Tanzo on that Jace being their strong point. If they can make this game last, IG is definitely in favor. But for the early stages, if they can take advantage of the fact that they have Jace the strong on the top lane and Gnarly starts making plays towards the bot side or even the mid lane and allow for Tanzo to keep the pressure up on the Rexalis, Recon 5 should have the advantage early on, but later in the game should be given back to IG. But now in the mid lane,
Oh, the Ahri going to be jumped upon. She's able to avoid the ultimate, though, from the Sejuani. Can she escape? She doesn't have her ultimate. She does have Flash, but with that stun coming through, she will be dropped, given a return kill to Sandillion. And just to make sure that the chat is happy, there is 4 ability power on this Conqueror for your Nurse at this point in the game. However, R5 is still leading pretty heavily, about 2,000 gold lead, and now they might be able to make a play on that top side with Urgot, who's just been continuously shoved underneath that turret. No, they're going to go for J4. He's got the double buffs. He's going to be locked up by the Sejuani, the CC coming through, the Blast Code getting out for the moment. In the bottom side, the Flash Force out by the Pike, as he might have been hit by the Glacial Fissure. That is a huge ultimate to get the Flash off of that Pike. Pretty nice, and Paradox dropped about 200 health. They have to hide underneath their turret in the bottom lane.
yeah, now on the top side, 3 members of Recon 5 trying to look for Rexalis, waiting for the wave to come by. They may look for a dive here on him, which could possibly lead to a turret play. Are your Nurse making her way on over?
Oh, the flash from Rexalis trying to stay alive, but it's not going to be nearly enough. Your Nurse a bit too late to the play. This is why you get punished for not taking TP. You can't join the fight on that top side. And what you saw there from Rexalis was he was trying to get the minion wave to delay before getting underneath the turret, because he knew that as soon as the minion wave got to the turret, he was a dead crab. And the minion wave, no matter what, still collapsed, was able to allow the side of Recon 5 to pick up another kill off of him. However, Urgot, even if he dies a bunch of times, it's not the end of the world. He's still going to scale. He just needs 1 or 2 somewhat beefy items like that Black Cleaver, and he'll be doing okay. So at the moment, Impulse Ghosting, while they may be down, they're definitely not out of this game yet.
Yeah, and down in the bot side, you just saw the flash had to be used from Swift. He kind of got in a bad spot, and Bluxy was making his way on over. It looked like they wanted to dive there, but they weren't able to make the play that they wanted. And you know, one thing that you and I just talked about, I don't know, 4 minutes ago before all of that happened for Recon 5, we said, Tanzo has the advantage, so what does Gnarly need to do? Focus on that mid lane or focus on the bot lane? He decides to focus on that mid lane, and he gets a kill for Sandillion. But then they decide, you know what, top lane is very low, and Rexalis still is not the tankiest person. So maybe we can make a dive play and get more of an advantage for our mid laner. So they first go in the jungle, see if Bluxy's there. They find Bluxy and makes it bad for him, but now in the mid lane, actually...
Oh, the re-engagement once again by Gnarly. Now, you were just talking about it. Your Nurse actually diving a little bit back forward, trying to get some more poke down. But this Sejuani is just all over the map, just as you were saying.
Yeah, and up in the top lane, they're able to get onto Bluxy and then get the kill to Rexalis, which gives Sandillion more pressure. He got himself the Proto Belt, which is a lot more damage for him going against your Nurse. Oh, but now on the bot side, Bluxy's going on in.
J4 trying to make a play, but again, Pyke pretty hard to jump on. There's no Caitlyn available as she had already recalled, headed out. However, this might be the bottom lane turret losing a couple more plates as the Sivir and the Braum going to step forward. This is also Windrake spawning in J4, Bluxy immediately on it. So you're kind of getting a feel for overall which of the teams prioritize what. Obviously, it's a strong top lane for Recon 5 at the moment. Tonzo, who made the amazing plays game number 2 on that cannon, now on the Jace 2-0-1, heavily pressured from that Sejuani. Whereas Impulse Ghosting, they want complete control over this Drake pit and the bottom side of the map. They've been able to take up both Drakes so far. They're going to lose the Rift Herald, which will be spawned on that top side, so they're kind of trading the map, and a kill goes over to Sivir. The Boomerang coming back as Jace TPs to the bottom lane to try to help out his team, as Shelly will knock down that top lane turret for first turret of the game for Recon 5.
Yeah, very wise play by Recon 5 to teleport him down to the bottom side. They know Shelly's going to be able to get the top lane turret without a problem, give them the first turret, and having Tonzo there instead because Scrim got taken down and has to go away, allows for them to push the lane back up against Swifty and not allow for him to get any more plates before the 14-minute mark ends up. Now we're seeing more pings coming out from Recon 5. They're on the other side. Charm is going to land.
Onto the Sejuani. She's going to be taking a step forward. Gnarly Nard, though, fairly tanky at this point in the game. Not going to take that much damage as the rotation from Recon 5 towards this mid lane, looking for that first tier turret. They're going to get the Pyke locked up for just a moment as the Braum is going to roam up, but plates are dropping. We're about 20 seconds away from those plates coming down, so I don't know if any more are going to fall. Most likely not, as the Sivir going to aggressively step forward, and lose a lot of health, though. Sylas stealing away the Ahri ultimate, going to go on, and with that, the J4 is here, but he does not have the health to fight this. The Ignite's down on Sejuani. She is fallen as Uranus finds the assassination in the back line. The Cataclysm for J4, he immediately jumps out, just forcing the flash out of Tonzo as well. So flash for flash burned there. Sivir pulled over the wall with a Pyke Q. However, that Bone Skewer going to make them reconsider going in, as Sivir has plenty of damage to deal. And it seems like the fight is going to drift off from there. I wanted to comment briefly on both these teams doing a gambling game at this point, right? You look at Tonzo on this top side, 2-0-1, 10 CS lead over the Urgot with so much pressure from Sejuani over the course of the game. That's their gambling chip from Recon 5. Get the split push Jace so far ahead, he can deal with Urgot no matter what in a side lane. We can play 1-4 or we can group for team fights. On the side of Impulse Ghosting, they have put so much pressure with this J4 on the bottom side, getting the Sivir as far ahead as they can. 20 CS lead over the Caitlyn. They haven't been able to secure that turret yet, but it's only a matter of time before Sivir gets that gold as well. So we'll see which gambling chip wins out in the end. And if I had to choose between a late game Jace or Sivir, I'd take the Sivir any day.
Yeah, for sure. And now you're looking at this mid lane. Your Nurse is so strong. You saw the amount of damage that he can do to Gnarly because of that added pressure from Conqueror. It gives the damage that he needs to get onto Sejuani and be a threat to the front line, which is something you don't see very often. And so now, because your Nurse is so strong, like you said, Swifty's getting into this game more even further, and Rexalis is slowly just going to make his way back into this game. And Rexalis, more of a tank. He will probably get Black Cleaver, and then the rest of his build is going to be mainly focused on tank items. So it's not too much of a problem for him getting behind. And with the Jace, if they don't try to look for too many plays right now, it may hurt him in the long run, like you said. And Swifty always take the Sivir over a Jace in that lead.
Now the Urgot's ultimate's coming up off of cooldown, so he should be able to hold his own in the bottom lane fairly well. These ults are going to be absolutely crucial to keep our eyes on, especially those engaged ones, like the Jarvan Cataclysm, like the Sejuani Glacial Prison. So keep your eyes on those to see where these players use them. At the moment, though, with everyone kind of recalling, it's in a reset pattern, looking to buy up those next couple of items, we can look at what people have built, that Ahri with that Luden's Echo, as well as getting a little bit of magic penetration. The Sivir 1.5 items in, as Caitlyn has finished off her Infinity Edge. That is huge. However, Caitlyn still sitting on tier 1 boots, needs to have the peel with the team, otherwise might be able to cop out by a charm from this Ahri.
Oh, Jarvan's going on in.
Oh, but he's going to get knocked back by the Sejuani. He's still going to Cataclysm. Both the Sylas and the Sejuani going to lose a lot of his health. However, Braum is there trying to protect him. The Pyke going in way too deep. Ace in the hole for the Caitlyn, dropping the jar 4 very, very low, but he did not die. Bluxy stays alive. And with that one pick on the support of Recon 5, the squishy support, mind you, Impulse Ghosting are able to push down the mid and get a little bit of chip damage on this mid lane turret.
Yeah, and this is huge for IG if they're able to pick up this mid lane turret, but now Sandillion trying to hold it off. Charm almost lands onto Sandillion. He's able to clear the wave, but now Tonzo is going to counteract that with a push on the bottom side.
Yeah, that Urgot Rexalis still 2 down in this game to be able to 1v1 the Jace, just kind of playing defensively, farming where he can. He's finished that Black Cleaver, giving him a little bit of health and some stats back, but not near enough. A Gardener Stone Plate would be absolutely great for him to be able to pick up, but he's a long ways away from that. However, the main thing for him is he's not dying anymore. The pressure from Impulse Ghosting in this mid lane is enough to bring that Sejuani there, so she can't be making those ganks onto Urgot. So he's just farming steadily against this Jace as the third Drake of the game, started up by Impulse Ghosting. We'll see if they can secure that. Jace trying to poke over the wall with that Q. However, the Ahri has found the Pike. The Ignite ticking away. He might actually be able to get the heal. No, the ward was there, giving vision to Impulse Gaming. He could not heal, and that will be a kill, as well as the Urgot finding the Jace towards that bottom side of the map. It was a solo 1v1, and the Mountain Drake goes over to Impulse Gaming. IG are turning this game around.
That is huge on the bot side of the map. That 1v1 for Rexalis. He is down. He's 0-3 against a very strong Jace, and he's able to 1v1 him. That is huge. He gets I believe he got the shutdown for himself, and having the Urgot get back into this game this early, I didn't expect him to get back into this game for another about 5 or 10 minutes, maybe even 20 minutes left in this game before he gets more items for himself. But because he got that kill onto Jace and shows the potential that he has when he fights Jace one-on-one, means he can be more confident and possibly make a play once again. And also, he will be a bigger front line that R5 is going to have to try to get through, and it's going to become difficult. And with that execution, it's more of a threat than Scrim's execution at this point because of how far behind Scrim is. And that 0-3 death for Scrim right now is just slowly allowing your Nurse and Swifty to get the kills, the CS that they need. There's a 30 CS lead for Swifty right now over Paradox. So much gold for him. And if Sivir is able to keep up this gold lead, they should be able to consistently clear out these waves and not allow for Recon 5 to push. There is a fair amount of push power from Recon 5, but not enough to go against the Sivir. So right now, Recon 5 is just trying to split up the map and see what they can do. Swifty now maybe looking for something on Sandillion. He's on the other side of the wall.
Interesting choice there, stepping forward aggressively, has the spell shield, so feels pretty confident stepping into this Silas. The J4 there as well. He's unable to find the catch as Silas stole Sivir's On the Hunt ultimate to speed him away. However, he is out of the fight on that top side, giving Sivir a little bit of pressure up there as Jace trying to 1v1 the Urgot on the bottom side of the map. The problem with the last time they fought was that Jace hadn't backed in a while. He's finished off his Yuma's Ghost Blade, so he's a little bit stronger and has some pretty strong mobility. But again, you always got to keep your eyes on that Urgot ultimate. It's up and available, so if he can get his 1v1 duo down low enough, it's a guaranteed kill.
Yeah, now the next dragon is going to be the Infernal Dragon, so both teams want to look for this. Your Nurse and the rest of IG already have 3 dragons, but Tonzo's the target.
That charm is just chunking the Jace down. He's about half health in 1 rotation of spells from your Nurse. Doing a fantastic job pushing him out of the fight. He's immediately sent to the recall, back to the fountain. He's actually going to cancel that and stick around for a little bit longer, try to take that red buff for the side of Recon 5. However, with him out of the picture, Impulse Ghosting still head towards this top side. Would have liked to have seen them collapse and get a little bit of vision around the Infernal Drake, as that's what they're lacking in at the moment. Even if they don't go for the Infernal Drake, at least securing vision, letting them know where Recon 5 are moving to is good. However, they decide to take that pressure towards around the Baron again, getting vision there. And it's past that 20 mark. Will we see them try a super early game Baron again? It's feeling like this game they're not.
Yeah, and one thing that could possibly show up for... Yeah, wait. They tricked me. I thought that right there on the map that there was a chance IG was about to look for that Baron play. But right now they're just trying to get control of the top side of the map. Because if they take down that turret, that's all tier 1 turrets down for Recon 5. Which means a lot more plays for IG. Oh, your Nurse, though, able to get Paradox's flash, but now they're going to engage. Flashes on them.
The ultimate is so nice. Ace in the hole gonna come in, and then it's blocked by the J4. He goes in with the Cataclysm, and the Braum is there as well. The Unbreakable defending the team. Double kill over to the Ahri. The Urgot roaming in from the bottom side of the map. J4 going in, is gonna flash to get the last auto attack. Take down the Caitlyn. The Jace is dropping low. Tanzo forced to flash to the turret. The ultimate from Urgot ticking away, but he's too high health for him to find that execution. But the side of Impulse Ghosting win a massive team fight with amazing collapse from Bluxy, and you gotta give credit to your nurse. That was, I believe, 3 ultimates that the Ahri burned just by positioning alone with that ultimate. The charm for the Ahri gonna land onto the J, slow him down for a moment. The Q from the Sivir, dropping him down to about half health. They're pulling off of the Baron. They're making the play onto the Sejuani. The Braum passive not gonna come through in time. However, they have dropped her down to about half health. Urgot is still on the backside of the fight, full health, full mana, but they're not gonna go in for any more kills. And while Impulse Ghosting started up the Baron, seeing if they could get any more kills, they're gonna back away. But with that, all 5 members on the top side of the map, Recon 5 getting open middle lane, first tier turret to pick up.
Yeah, and the amount of pressure for after that fight from IG, they realized we could possibly go for this Baron, we can maybe look for it, but then one thing that they have to realize is the reason why it's so difficult to take these Barons so early on in the game is because of those death timers. But now once again,
and he tries to smite away the Infernal Drake. He won't be able to get it, and now he's stuck for a moment. Flag and Drake, he's alive for the moment. The Urgot is tearing through the Caitlyn, who is in the back of the fight. Everyone trying to jump over the wall, but the Jace doesn't have flesh. He's got no way of escaping. The Infernal Drake went the way of Recon 5. However, they are going to lose their top lane and a carry, and without that damage, once again, Impulse Ghosting head back to the Baron. Now, they still don't have the enemy team jungler down. They really want to secure Gnarly Gnar before going on to this Baron. They catch sight of the Sejuani going over the wall. They have vision. Look at this vision secured by the side of Impulse Ghosting. They know where the Sejuani is. They're going to start the Baron anyway, trying to bait the Sejuani in.
Oh, your nurse made me look for something. Scrim's going to taken low and taken down. Gnarly Gnar on the opposite side. This could be a possible steal, but 4 members are still in the pit.
We're going to see if they can do this. Gnarly Gnar might be able to get one more rush in and then smite the Baron away, but they're holding it at about 3,000 health until the charm from the Arc can come through. They're looking for Gnarly Gnar. They've dropped the Sejuani down to about half health. J4 goes in with the Cataclysm. She's still going to jump over the wall, but she's pulled in by the Urgot ultimate. Excellent timing by the side of Recon 5, but Silas is here. It's still smited away. J4 secures it for the side of Impulse Gaming, and now they can turn on to Sendilligan. He's trying to escape, but he's stunned up by that Braum passive. He goes back in, but only to his own death, and Shrifty is online. 4 kills, 4 assists, 0 deaths. This late game Sivir is truly here to stay. 2 items completed with Baron, all 5 members. Impulse Ghosting look like an entirely different team from game number 2.
IG want to go to the finals. They want to make people know that they are here to stay. They are the team that should face LSG. Recon 5 is number 1 seed at this very moment, and IG is able to make this game their favor. Game number 3, they picked up the Baron. All 5 members have it. Now the mid lane has been taken down. Gnarly Gnar may look for an engage. Ultimate from Scrim does land. Your nurse is the next target, but I don't think Recon 5 have the ability to go back on them. IG, oh, your nurse lands a nice charm. Gnarly Gnar taking a lot of damage. Has to charge away, and IG should be able... Oh, wait, he gets the...
Max range ultimate out of the Urgot just pierces the boar, drags Sejuani in, securing yet another kill for Impulse Ghosting. A little bit of icing to top the cake off. They are 7,000 gold in the lead, looking incredibly strong this game. And what Recon 5 did so well in game 2, which was these smart plays, bringing multiple members, grouping as a team, collapsing on fights faster and quicker. This time, Impulse Ghosting has the response. Look at the vision coverage they have had this entire game. Those control wards being used to pick up the squishy members like the Pike again and again. And they are doing an amazing job of taking over this game.
Yeah, and IG right now, with the amount of vision control they have, and one thing that you have to notice is in Game 1 and Game 3, when IG is doing well and they get the lead, it's when Swifty and Hero dominate their lane, either with the help from Bluxy or just because they're playing the lane super well. And this is twice in a row that Recon 5 has played these early aggressive bot lanes and have not been able to pick up any kills. Your nurse now going to get pulled on forward, taking down to about half HP. He is using his ultimate. Charm's going to land. Gnarly Gnar's going to follow.
He's going to go back in with the ultimate. The J4 is here. A huge Braum ultimate glacial fissure bouncing out from the Recon 5, which means they're able to take down everyone left, right, and center. Sandillion trying to escape, sealing away the Ari ultimate to try to get back to the base, because that is a second tier turret in the bottom lane falling. Can Impulse Ghosting do no wrong? They have all 5 members up. The peeling for the Sivir is huge, and Swifty is wrecking these team fights. 3 items completed. They're not even worrying about the bottom lane inhibitor turret. They're going straight for the Nexus turrets itself. The game is basically over. Ladies and gentlemen, Impulse Ghosting delayed out game number 1, got decimated game number 2, didn't fall down in spirit, and came back stronger than ever game 3, destroying Recon 5 and looking like an absolutely decimating team going into the finals against Lakeside Gaming.
That is not the way that this was supposed to go down. Recon 5 was supposed to give a competition to IG in game number 3, and they weren't able to. IG just played.
Where was Recon 5?
Where
Did they show up?
IG just played it so well. Recon 5, I don't think showed up as much as they wanted, but whoops, hold on, let's fix that. There we go. There you go. We're back.
You don't have to see me. You don't have to see me. My hype is too much.
We're too hyped for this one. But IG, they were the underdogs. They were 4th place seeds. Recon 5 is number 1 seed, and people are having Recon 5. They're doing so well. They're playing the early game really, really well. The aggression on the bot lane is so good for them. And I think with the fact that Gnarly Gnar focused so much on the top lane, they lost so much pressure on that bot side. Gnarly Gnar definitely thought that his bot lane would have been able to sustain themselves and be able to do well against a Braum Sivir. Sivir is a little bit of trouble for Pyke, but at the same time, I feel like after that first aggressive flash from Scrim then caused Paradox to get taken down super low, and they lost all their sums, was kind of the end for their bot lane. And then slowly over the course of the game, the rest of the team was able to dominate your Nurse, getting 8 kills for himself. The damage charts are insane, and IG are going off to the finals against LSG for a best-of-5 series.
Oh, I am absolutely crazy excited for that, especially for Impulse Ghosting, that it feels like they fixed some of the problems, and this is exactly what we were talking about with that Urgot, falling down 3 times in the early game of this game 3, and then never died again. You look at Bluxy, freely pushing the bottom lane. You want the story of this game? Look at the 2-0-13 Jarvan and the 1-1-13 Braum and the 5-0-7 Sivir. Obviously, Bluxy said, you know what? I'm going to get my mid lane with 8 kills ahead, and I'm going to spend so much time in this bottom lane, absolutely crushing the bottom of Recon 5 down. So what we need to see in the games against LSG, now that we know who's playing into them, is for Impulse Ghosting to make sure that their jungler is on something aggressive. We saw the at least 2 games from Bluxy. It didn't look very good. Jarvan, on the other hand, looked fantastic. And so picking those early game aggressive champions, but that can actually make plays that allow the team greater success is so crucial. And again, you see their focus on this mid lane and this bottom lane, your Nurse and Swifty. If they can get them ahead, they have a very solid chance of potentially becoming the finalists of the 5-game series against LSG.
Very well done in the end by IG to pick up the victory of the semifinals game against Recon 5 to put themselves in the LSG finals. And now we're going to have to go away, sadly. We're going to have to wait until next week because we got to give these teams an opportunity to scrim against one another, scrim against other teams, and practice and get ready for a best-of-5. Because as we all know, a best-of-5 is a very long amount of time, and so these teams really want to prepare for it. So it is going to be an intense finals. Thank you once again from Jake joining me today for the semifinals. And ladies and gentlemen, once again, I want to say this. Jake is going to be joining me once again for the finals. I hope you all enjoyed him, and he's going to come on back and help me out. So thank you all for watching. Have a wonderful night, and hey, stay tuned for next week as we have LSG taking on IG in the finals.
I cannot wait.